Chapter 148. Reckless? How so? Abbey head Si Kong Yang frowned. Cultivators have worked so hard to become transcendents. How can others set a direction? Xiao Qi Bai said, if the direction is wrong, who will be responsible? Abbey head Si Kong Yang was startled. He then sneered, if a senior sets a direction, the chances of success will be higher. If you cultivate blindly, the chances of failure will be higher. If you choose wrongly, you'll have to bear the consequences. There is nothing to say. Why should a senior set a direction for me? I worked so hard to become a transcendent. Why should my cultivation direction be set by a so-called senior? Xiao Qi Bai retorted, Dongbo Shuiying has become a transcendent. He should walk his own path. Why must you force him? Si Kong Yang said, you clearly know that he's going to take a detour. Why do you want to watch him walk? Xiao Qi Bai's voice was very soft. If we don't even have freedom, how can we be called transcendents? Being immortal is more carefree than being a transcendent. If I was given a chance, I would rather be immortal. Abbey head Si Kong Yang went silent. He understood Xiao Qi Bai's feelings. He remembered that figure holding a long blade and laughing in the rain. He remembered that figure whose hair turned white overnight. Sigh. Si Kong Yang sighed in his heart. Everyone. Xiao Qi Bai swept his gaze across the 11 people in front of him. His eyes were filled with pressure. I, Xiao Qi Bai, will guide you in the next half a year. I am a straightforward person. If I can guide you, I will not hide it. However, I will remind you to ponder over it. Your path is for you to walk. No matter if it is good or bad, you will have to bear the consequences yourself. Zhang Peng, you are proficient in the profound mysteries of Space Edge? Xiao Qi Bai looked at Zhang Peng. Yes. Amongst the group, Zhang Peng was slightly nervous. My true meaning of cleaving space is somewhat similar to your Space Edge. Xiao Qi Bai smiled. Attack me with your full strength. Xiao Qi Bai was a very competent leader. At least, he was much more competent than Gong Yu and Si Kong Yang. This was also the difference in their horizons. Gong Yu, Si Kong Yang, and the others had comprehended weaker true meanings. Facing the guidance of Grade 3 and Grade 2 true meanings, they could only rely on their experience to guide them. Zhang Peng, I think your space blade is quite intelligent, but it's not overbearing enough. Xiao Qi Bai smiled and said, you can spend more effort on the tyrannical Tao. Of course, this is just my suggestion. It's up to you whether you want to listen or not. You have to remember, any decision, in the end, is made by yourself. Once you've made your decision, you have no regrets. Yes. Zhang Peng nodded. His eyes were bright, as if he had understood something. Yu Feng attacked me. Xiao Qi Bai said. Yu Feng attacked. Moments later. Interesting. Xiao Qi Bai was a bit excited. Your shadow space mysteries are very mysterious. I think you should develop this kind of sinister attack method even more. Carry forward? Yu Feng was a little puzzled. Right? You have to immerse yourself in it and make yourself a part of the shadow space. Xiao Qi Bai said, when that time comes, your attacks will be even more stealthy and sinister. At that point, you should be able to grasp the true meaning of shadow space. This is just my suggestion. What you should do is up to you. Yu Feng immediately nodded thoughtfully. Very soon, Puyangbo attacked again. Puyangbo, Xiao Qi Bai asked doubtfully. I feel that you have a great talent in teleportation. Furthermore, you are very agile and free when using it. You should like teleportation a lot, right? Yes. Puyangbo nodded. I like teleportation the most. I don't really like it when it comes to life and death battles. Then why are you trying to attack now? Using the profound mysteries of space on your attacks? Xiao Qi Bai asked back. I'm not attacking. My combat power is too weak. Puyangbo was doubtful. You have yet to grasp the true meaning. Xiao Qi Bai said, it's still the early stage of cultivation. There's no need to pursue strength. Since you like teleportation and have a talent in it, then put all your effort into teleportation. Once you reach the pinnacle of teleportation, you will be extremely terrifying. You will definitely be able to grasp the true meaning. Teleportation had different levels of proficiency. The weaker ones, like some demigods, would first tear through space and create a pathway before teleporting to another location. The more powerful ones would use their senses to lock onto a distant location and teleport there. The more powerful ones could teleport with a single thought. The more monstrous ones could teleport even when the space trembled during battle. Last one, Situ Hong. Xiao Qibai said. Situ Hong immediately attacked with all his might. He was at the third level of realms of myriad existences and was obviously much more powerful. After a while, he retracted his attack confidently. Eternal Wind. Situ Hong is the one with the highest realm amongst the four that specializes in the profound mysteries of space. He is already at the third level of realms of myriad existences. He is just a step away from grasping the true meaning. Si Kong Yang, who was at the side, said, "You have to guide him well." Situ Hong looked at Xiao Qibai with even more anticipation. Xiao Qibai was silent. Senior Eternal Wind? Situ Hong could not help but shout. Xiao Qibai frowned and muttered, "I am unable to guide you." Unable? Situ Hong was stunned. Senior Eternal Wind, how is it possible that you are unable to guide me? Your realm is so much higher than mine. I hope you can give me some simple guidance. Eternal Wind, why don't you tell me his weakness? Faction head Si Kong Yang frowned and said. He was very optimistic about Situ Hong because he was the only third-level realms of myriad existences other than Dongbo Shuang. Situ Hong also looked at Xiao Qibai with longing. All right, Xiao Qibai muttered and finally said, Situ Hong, your problem lies in your heart. Heart? Situ Hong was puzzled. I have always felt that the Tao and the heart are in harmony. Xiao Qibai said, but you, the Tao and the heart, are not in harmony. What? The Tao and the heart are in harmony. Situ Hong was puzzled. Eternal Wind, is the Tao and the heart so important? It is merely grasping a single true meaning. Faction head Si Kong Yang frowned. Tao and the heart are in harmony was a must to condense a true deity heart. He was a powerful existence who had condensed a true deity heart, so he was very clear on this point. But just grasping a true meaning, was there a need to have such a high requirement of Tao and the heart being in harmony? Xiao Qibai shook his head. I feel that it is very important. If it is an ordinary profound mystery, then the difficulty would be low. But the true meaning of space is a grade 3 true meaning. Such a difficult true meaning, if one's heart is not sincere, wanting to comprehend it, difficult. What is Tao and the heart being in harmony? Situ Hong anxiously asked. The Tao and the heart being in harmony is the Tao you cultivate. It is the Tao that you are determined to love. Xiao Qibai said, even if you do not like it in the past, you will gradually change your way of thinking during the process of cultivation, allowing yourself to fully immerse yourself in this profound mystery. I like it very much. Situ Hong was anxious. Let me ask you, do you really like the profound mystery of space from the bottom of your heart? Xiao Qibai looked at him, his gaze seemingly penetrating his soul, and not just treating it as a cultivation method. Situ Hong wanted to lie, but under Xiao Qibai's gaze, he was unable to do so. Lying is very easy, but it is impossible to hide in a battle. Xiao Qibai shook his head. From your battle style, your nature is more sinister and cunning. There are sinister and cunning demigods, deities, and even the great demon god. But the profound mystery of space is a profound mystery that can suppress an opponent head-on. First, one's state of mind must be upright and upright. Your nature is more sinister and cunning. It is not suitable for the profound mystery of space that can suppress an opponent head-on. Xiao Qibai shook his head. That is why I said that your path of cultivation will become narrower and narrower. The third chapter. Chapter 149. The path of cultivation gets harder and harder. For others, the difficulty increases by 10 times. But for you, it increases by 100 times. Xiao Qibai said, it is because your Tao and heart are incompatible. When you condense the true deity heart, there's no hope at all. In the legends, if the Tao and heart are incompatible, the deity heart will collapse, and you will die from qi deviation. Sidu Hong's face turned pale. He could tell that Xiu Qi Bai was not lying to him. Tao and heart becoming one. That is condensing the true deity heart. Faction head Si Kong Yang shook his head. Sidu Hong, you don't have to despair. Right now, you're only condensing your true meaning. You are already at the third level of realms of myriad existences, and you are only one step away. Right? I'm only one step away. Sidu Hong nodded. I will definitely succeed. How long did you take to advance from the second level to the third level? Xiu Qi Bai snorted. I dare say that you will need at least 10 times the time to grasp the true meaning from the third level of realms of myriad existences. Situ Hong was stunned. At least 10 times? He had been stuck at the second level of realms of myriad existences for too long, more than 200 years. One must know that even a saint transcendent only had a lifespan of 1,500 years. He did not have enough time to grasp the true meaning. Back then, you relied on the profound mystery of space to become a transcendent. Si Kong Yang frowned. You have cultivated for more than 300 years. How can you not like the profound mystery of space? The demigods set a direction. It was not randomly chosen, but what the transcendents excelled in. For example, Dongbua Shui Ying excelled in the profound mystery of water and fire, which was why the demigods chose this direction. It was impossible to randomly choose a direction. If he really walked on the path of the true meaning of water and fire, he would gradually immerse himself in it after 1 to 200 years. This was actually a form of self-hypnosis. Even if it was not something that he truly liked, after persevering for a long time, he would still be immersed in it. Situ Hong shook his head. I only felt that the true meaning of space was very tyrannical, and even had hopes of advancing to the true meaning of great destruction. Thus, I continued to comprehend it. You felt that it was powerful enough, so you comprehended it? Xiu Qi Bai did not know whether to laugh or cry. Then what do I do? Situ Hong was anxious. What do I do now? Xiu Qi Bai, Gong Yu, Si Kong Yang, and the Infernal Palace head glanced at each other. This kind of situation was rare. Yu Feng, Zhang Peng, Puyang Bo, and the others did not experience such a situation. It was very rare for such a situation to occur among transcendents. For example, Dongbua Shui Ying was even harsher. He only pursued the spear art that he was most passionate about, and no one could persuade or reprimand him. His heart was incomparably firm. Right now, there are 2 ways, Qi Qiubai said. Sidu Hong's eyes lit up. 1. Start all over again, Qiu Qiubai said. Change to a cultivation direction that you can persevere in and that you prefer. No. I've cultivated for more than 300 years. How can I start all over again? Situ Hong shook his head. What's the other way? The other is to sharpen your heart. Qiu Qiubai said, for example, becoming an ascetic, traveling the world to temper one's heart, making one's heart wider. Your temperament has changed. If you continue to comprehend the profound mysteries of spatial rifts, your efficiency will greatly increase. Ascetic? Situ Hong's eyes were filled with unwillingness. He looked down on ascetics. Transcendence had always been high up above, looking down on countless mortals like ants. Why did they have to become ascetics, walking amongst mortals like beggars? All right, my guidance will end for now, Qiu Qi Bai said. What I said is only a suggestion. You guys can decide what to do. Senior Eternal Wind, we have yet to receive guidance. Wen Yong'an could not help but say. That's right, Senior Eternal Wind. Zhui smiled charmingly as she looked at Qiu Qi Bai. Wu Tsang, Yuan Qing, and the others all looked at Qiu Qi Bai. I don't understand your cultivation direction, so I can't randomly guide you. Qiu Qi Bai laughed. But during this half a year, I'll be in this Scarlet Cloud Mountain world. You guys can come and spar with me anytime. During the battle, you guys can discover each other's weaknesses. This should be of some help to you guys. That's all I can do. Dongbua Shui Ying sighed. In terms of qualifications, Qiu Qi Bai was the only human world's demigod with a grade 3 true meaning. He was definitely the most qualified, but he had only guided Yu Feng and the other 3 in the profound mysteries of space, and nothing else. Cultivation was indeed a very private matter. Very soon, the four demigods left. Dongbua, Shui Ying, and the others were discussing amongst themselves halfway up the mountain. Situ Hong's expression was the ugliest. I'm not convinced. I don't believe it. Situ Hong growled. What Tao and heart union? That's something needed to become a deity. I want to grasp the true meaning. My Tao and heart are incompatible. But aren't I still the one with the highest comprehension amongst the 11 of us? You guys can barely even grasp the second level of myriad existences. What's the use of Tao and heart union? How can this Situ Hong say that? Jing Qiu was slightly shocked. All these years, Situ Hong had been pretending to be elegant. But who would have thought that under his madness, he would actually say such words? This had offended everyone here. Senior brother Situ, your heart is in a mess. Wen Yeoman frowned. Am I wrong? Your comprehension is not as high as mine. Situ Hong's eyes were filled with madness. Just wait and see. I will definitely grasp the true meaning of space. I definitely will. South Situ Hong immediately broke through the sky. Time passed day by day. In private, Dongbua Shui Ying and the rest went to find Qiu Qi by to spar with him. Snow Eagle, you really didn't disappoint me. After a spar, Qiu Qi Bai looked at Dongbua Shui Ying with a joyful expression. Just now, I was forced to use my transcendent qi to directly suppress your illusion. In this Scarlet Cloud Mountain world, your combat power is without a doubt number one. I don't know what the faction head is thinking to actually rank you as the last. If it were me, I would definitely place you first. Big Brother Eternal Wind, you're overpraising me. Dongbua Shuang shook his head. My illusion technique is still very weak. It was easily shattered by Big Brother Eternal Wind suppression. How long have I been cultivating? And how long have you been cultivating? Qiu Qi Bai shook his head. You haven't even grasped the true meaning. Once you grasp the true meaning, it won't be so easy for me to break through your illusion technique. I estimate that, with your current combat power, defeating a middle stage Sane is not a problem. You can even threaten a peak stage Sane Transcendent. How amazing. I estimate that your true meaning is most likely a Grade 2 true meaning. Grade 2 true meaning. It was even stronger than his true meaning of void cleavage. One must know that most profound mysteries would only appear when one grasped the true meaning. However, Dongbua Shui Ying had yet to grasp the true meaning, yet he had already manifested 6 arms and could even create illusions. Furthermore, his close combat abilities were extremely strong. Currently, his attacks were already showing signs of tearing through space. Once he grasped the true meaning, he would undergo an earth-shattering transformation. How frightening would he become then? A Grade 2 true meaning was known as a legendary true meaning for a reason. Faction head even said that my path of cultivation might be a dead end. Dongbua Shuang laughed. And man, that's true. You don't have the experience of a senior to refer to. Qiu Qi Bai laughed. Grasping the true meaning is a very difficult path. Speaking of which, I don't have the experience of a senior to refer to, but I still succeeded. I believe that you will succeed. Chapter 150. Xia History Pavilion. In the silent pavilion, the night had already darkened. Dongbua Shuang, dressed in black, was still flipping through the thick gold leaf book on his lap. As a transcendent, he was still able to see in the dark. Hua hua hua, the pitter-patter of rain could be heard from outside the pavilion, and the air was chilly. Dongbua Shuang closed the gold leaf book in his hands and solemnly placed it at the bottom of the bookshelf. Only then did he slowly stand up. After 15 years of reading, the Xia people, have finished reading all the records of the demigods from the primordial era to the present day. Dongbua Shui Ying walked to the railing of the pavilion and held on to it. He looked at the sky full of rain, and his chest was filled with excitement. He closed his eyes. It was as though many heroes of the Xia people had appeared. They had different personalities and lived proudly in different eras. However, time is merciless. These ancestors of the Xia people have all turned to dust. Dongbua Shuang grinned. But so what? As long as I can live a happy an exciting life when I'm alive. That's enough. Finally, I will organize them all. Dongbua Shui Ying casually sat down and leaned against the railing, allowing the occasional raindrops to fall on his body. He picked up a bottle of spiritual liquid from the stone of oceanic world and took a sip. His mind was clear, and a large number of stories began to appear in his mind, and he began to organize them. When reading the records, one must know how to organize them. Shui Ying would often sort out and organize the vast amount of scrolls. From those records, he would refer to each other and extract some secrets. And tonight would be the first time Shui Ying would be combing through all the scrolls on a large scale. The brain of a transcendent had an extremely frightening processing speed. Otherwise, transcendent mages would not be able to directly analyze the profound mysteries of the world. No matter how fast his thinking speed was, there were too many records of the demigods of the Xia people. While he was thinking, it was already late at night. The rain gradually stopped, and the sky began to brighten. Dongbua Shui Ying, who had been looking into the distance, suddenly had his eyes lit up. All the dossiers and countless corroborations had formed a complete network in his mind. Dongbua Shui Ying, have come to the Xia capital, and my greatest gain is this vast amount of scrolls. Dongbua Shui Ying murmured softly. These 15 years of reading and organizing have been a cleansing of my soul. It was a complete transformation. On the surface, there was no change in his cultivation realm. But the change of thought was the most essential change of an extraordinary being. The power of the spirit is an extremely powerful force. Wherever my heart is, I will be invincible. No matter what kind of setbacks or difficulties we encounter, even if it's the judgment of the so-called seniors, or even the mistakes we make in cultivation, or the path of cultivation that we've fallen into a fork in the road of cultivation, etc. As long as your heart is burning with passion and perseverance, you will be able to walk a different path, even if it seems to be a wrong one. Dongbua Shui Ying's eyes were burning with passion. There was a saying among the transcendent sorcerers, all profound mysteries belong to the world. Thus, from this point of view, any profound mysteries that seemed completely different, contradictory, or strange could be fused together, be it water, fire, wind, lightning, light, life, or life, death, gravity. Everything that seemed completely unrelated could be fused together, because they were all a part of the world. Transcendence, and even deities, were all advancing on this path of comprehending the laws of nature. The level of a true meaning represents the depth of one's insight into the world. Dongbua Shui Ying thought, for example, the grade 3 true meanings, the true meaning of gravity, the true meaning of death, the true meaning of extreme yin, the true meaning of extreme yang, the true meaning of destruction, and the true meaning of ripple, were considered to be at a very high level of insight into the world. As for the legends among the legends, in the countless mortal worlds, even in the deity world and the dark abyss, they were all legendary grade 1 true meanings. The true meaning of extremity, the true meaning of black hole, and the true meaning of time were all derived from the core of the world. What they used were the most terrifying laws of nature. There was no such thing as a dead end in cultivation. But if it was too difficult to fuse them together, such as gravity, ripple, and destruction, this was not something that transcendents could accomplish with their limited lifespan. Thus, it was considered a dead end. Even though it is difficult for me to fuse water, fire, and wind, I have already reached the 3rd level in realms of myriad existences. Even though I have met with some small setbacks and am unable to fuse them together perfectly. But none of these can stop me. Dongbua Shui Ying thought. He had seen too many of the ancestors of the Xia people through countless scrolls. They had all walked out of seemingly dead ends. The more he saw, the more confidence he had. He would definitely be able to overcome all obstacles and break through all obstacles. Only when I'm strong enough can I deal with all sorts of dangers in the future. Dongbua Shui Ying frowned. That's right. Danger was looming over the Xia people. Reading through the scrolls of countless ancestors was tantamount to reading the hidden history of the Xia people from the moment they were born. From these scrolls, Dongbua Shuang knew that the great demon god of the dark abyss had been spying on the world of the Xia people for a very long time. That great demon god had never stopped his ambition. The temple of the earth god also had the support of the deity world. They had always been resisting with all their might. This was a clash between two superpowers. Other than the terrifying great demon god, several other demonic gods were also spying on the world of the Xia people. These demonic gods could project themselves into the world of the Xia people and were extremely powerful. Sometimes they would even use the legendary temporal temple to send some experts from other races to control the war in the world of the Xia people. The Xia people have been peaceful for too long, and the demonic faction has been keeping a low profile for the past 1,000 years. This is not normal, Dongbua Shuang thought to himself. Looking at history, the longer the demonic faction hibernates, the greater the threat they pose when they rise up. Furthermore, the demonic beast clan has been keeping a low profile for the past 1,000 years. At most, the great elder Ao Lan has been stirring up trouble, but there have been no true large-scale wars. The demonic faction had long been deeply rooted in the hearts of the Xia people. From the mortals to the demigods, the shadows of the demonic faction could be seen. A single demonic faction had fought with the 6 great transcendent organizations for so many years. The demonic beast clan and the humans were even more hostile. According to the situation of the Xia people since ancient times, there is a 70% chance that the Xia people will start a large-scale war within 500 years. There is a 90% chance that it will happen within 1,000 years. This was because the lifespan of a demigod was only 3,000 years. Thus, the demonic faction and the demonic beast clan could only stay dormant for 3,000 years. Any longer than that would be meaningless. It was rare for them to stay dormant for more than 1,000 years. This time, the demonic faction and the demonic beast clan had been dormant for too long. If I can deduce this, then the demonic elders of my Xia people should also know this. Dongbua Shuang thought to himself. Because he understood the threat looming over him, Dongbua Shuang did not dare to slack off. My spear arts have yet to be perfected, and looks like I'll have to use life and death to test my spear arts. In the face of death, one would usually be able to perform exceptionally well. However, this sort of thing could not be done too often, because one would be dancing on the edge of death. If it was done too often, one might really die. After all, this sort of tempering required the threat of death. Without the threat, there would be no effect. Early morning. Walking out of the summer pavilion, Dongbua Shuang quickly entered the Scarlet Cloud Mountain world as he walked through the infernal palace after the rain. Streaking across the sky, he soon arrived at the foot of a towering mountain. I've arrived. After landing, Dongbua Shuang raised his head and looked in front of him. At the foot of the mountain, there was a path paved with stone slabs, winding all the way up to the peak of the towering mountain. Chapter 151. This stone path was also known as the Mountain Road. These substitute elders who were being groomed in the Scarlet Cloud Mountain world had the opportunity to challenge special life and death missions. The simplest special life and death mission was the Underground Magma River mission. Usually, these genius transcendents would be able to complete it after being groomed and rewarded with 500 contribution points. A higher level would be the Mountain Road Special Life and Death mission. This was extremely difficult. Until now, none of the young transcendents in the Scarlet Cloud Mountain world had completed it. According to history, those who had grasped the embryonic form of a grade 3 true meaning, along with rich combat experience, powerful secret techniques, weapons, etc., had a chance of completing it. The moment they completed it, they would be rewarded with 10,000 contribution points. This was an extremely high reward. After completing this mission, they would be close to grasping their true meaning. Those who did not have enough strength would not dare to attempt it. After all, if they were not careful, they might lose their lives. Currently, only Sidu Hong had attempted it, but he failed miserably and almost lost his life. The highest level was the Sky Prison. This was a truly frightening mission. The Sky Prison imprisoned the most savage and powerful foreign races of the Xia people. Those who had grasped a grade 3 true meaning could attempt it. Usually, they would have a chance of completing it. This was considered a reward for those who had grasped a grade 3 true meaning. The reward was as high as 100,000 contribution points. Without grasping a true meaning, they must not attempt it. Those who entered would be instantly killed. Mountain Road. Dong Ying looked at the stone path. He wanted to attempt this life and death mission. Usually, it was not easy to find a mission where he could feel the threat of death. Clearly, this mountain road mission was very suitable. Stepping on the first stone slab, Dongbua Ying felt an unseen force enveloping his surroundings. Let me see how difficult this mountain road is. Dongbua Ying extended his right hand. A black spear appeared in his hand. The spear's body was thick, and the spearhead was sharp and reflected a cold light. He walked step by step. Gradually, he climbed upwards. Long, in front of him, there was a huge waterfall pouring down. The water was like a huge curtain, smashing into the stone pool below, causing countless splashes. The splashes formed a thick fog. The white fog enveloped an area of several hundred meters around the stone pool, as well as the stone path. The mountain road, starting from the foot of the mountain, was divided into 3 sections. The higher one went, the more dangerous it would be. Usually, those who felt that they were not strong enough would admit defeat early on. Because in a life and death battle, there was no time to admit defeat. If one admitted defeat too late, they would die. Once he took the initiative to admit defeat, the artifact spirit of the Scarlet Cloud Mountain World's spatial deity artifact would teleport people out of the range of the stone pavement. If he did not admit defeat, Dongbua Ying would be restricted by the array on the stone path, and he would not be able to escape from the stone path. Phew! White mist pervaded the air. Dongbua Ying walked even more cautiously. This was because the white fog meant that they had entered the first section of the mountain road and were about to face the threat of death. Damned humans. A skinny humanoid creature with dark red skin and a huge scimitar on his back stared coldly at Dongbua Ying, who was shrouded in white mist. Because of the formation, the transcendent native was able to see humans, but the humans were affected by the formation and were unable to see their surroundings clearly. They could only use the power of heaven and earth to scan their surroundings. Although the environment was favorable to the transcendent native, it was not happy at all, because once the special mission begins, it would be the moment of its life and death. As long as it was killed, the human transcendent would be considered to have passed the first section. Why must I die? Damned humans. They stole the treasures of my territory and forced me to do hard labor. Now they want me to fight to the death. The skinny transcendent native gritted its teeth. Regardless of whether it was because of the hatred it had towards humans or the huge benefits it would obtain after winning, it was willing to go all out to kill this black-robed human youth. One blade. You must die. The skinny transcendent native observed silently, looking for the best opportunity to strike. The reason why it was chosen by the Xia people to be in charge of the first section of the mountain road was because it specialized in assassination. Stepping on the stone pavement, he advanced step by step. Thick white mist pervaded the air, making it impossible for the naked eye to see through. Dongbua Ying carefully scanned his surroundings. Any further, the power of heaven and earth was obstructed by the array and was unable to penetrate. Under the detection of the power of heaven and earth, a thin and blurry figure suddenly appeared. Too fast. The speed of a transcendent was fast to begin with. A distance of tens of meters was too short. Dongbua Ying only felt a blurry figure appearing in front of him in an instant. Following that, a blood-red curved blade slashed through the air. It was too fast and too sudden. Furthermore, the attack of the curved blade was extremely unpredictable, making it hard to predict its trajectory. Dongbua Ying twisted the spear in his hand. The black spear was like a flood dragon as it shot out. Dang! The tip of the spear had already collided with the curved blade. What? The skinny transcendent native was shocked. His curved blade was known for its unpredictability. How would the blade collide with the true body of the blade so easily? What he didn't know was that Dongbua Shui Ying's spear arts had always been unpredictable. Furthermore, after fusing the profound mysteries of wind into it, it became even more unpredictable. In terms of unpredictability, it was even above the curved blade. The spear easily stuck onto the curved blade. The spear itself contained an astonishing rotational force, causing the curved blade to deviate to the side. Chi! The tip of the spear was like a venomous snake. The three energies of wind, water, and fire interweaved together and burst forth at the same time. Although it seemed like an easy stab, it actually tore apart the space. Wherever the spear passed by, a faint black crack would appear. This black crack seemed to lead to the unknown. It was a spatial crack. The tip of the spear retracted right in between the brows of the skinny, transcendent native. There was already a small hole in between the brows of the skinny, transcendent native. His brain had already turned into mush, and he could not be any more dead. Dong! The skinny, transcendent native's corpse turned soft and fell onto the stone pavement. Looking at the corpse, Dongbua Shui Ying was extremely calm. Humans, demonic beasts, and transcendent natives were all competing for survival space. There was no room for pity. The moment they were given the chance, they would swiftly retaliate and massacre the humans. In the history of the Xia people, there was a very pitiful and tragic period. Its curved blade is extremely strange, but in this aspect, it is still inferior to my spear arts. Dongbua Shui Ying thought. Seems like the first section of the mountain road poses too little of a threat to me. However, the higher I go, the more dangerous it becomes. I hope that I can truly sharpen my spear arts and perfect them. That stab seemed to be extremely powerful, to the point that it could even tear apart the space. However, this was still not enough to satisfy Dongbua Shui Ying. He could feel that his stab was obviously not perfect. Dongbua Shui Ying continued walking forward, step by step, towards the depths of the stone pavement. Chapter 152. The second section of the mountain road. After walking out of the white fog, Dongbua Shui Ying walked on the stone path. Suddenly, he felt a formless pressure on his soul. Everything was within his expectations. The special characteristic of the second section of the mountain road was that the pressure on one's soul would get stronger and stronger. This was a test of one's soul and heart. Even if one's realm was high enough, if one's soul was not tempered enough, one would not be able to pass this section safely. And the effect of reading on a person's soul was very obvious. Life experiences, reading books, comprehending the nature of heaven and earth could all affect one's soul. Dongbua Shui Ying had gone through close to 15 years. After reading countless demigod scrolls, he could feel the transformation of his soul. As the saying goes, without doubt, without fear. After reading enough scrolls and seeing the experiences of countless demigods, Dongbua Shui Ying had a very clear understanding of his future. He also had a fundamental understanding of the truth of this world. These understandings made him without doubt or fear. The pressure is quite strong. I heard that Situ Hong gave up halfway through. After walking for a few miles, he was already halfway up the towering mountain. At this moment, the pressure on his soul had caused Dongbua Shui Ying's forehead to be covered in sweat. However, his heart was filled with excitement. Very good. The greater the pressure, the better. The reason why he chose to walk the mountain road was to perfect his spear arts. In front of Shui Ying, in an empty space around a bend, there were currently two ugly native transcendents casually sitting there. Their height was about 5 meters, and their waists were wrapped with bee skins. They were barefooted and had an axe hanging from their waists. By their side, there was also a single-handed shield. The two of them were casually drinking wine together. How long has it been? How long has it been since us brothers drank wine? Who would have thought that we would be able to enjoy wine before the war? It is not bad to die in battle while drinking wine. A green-skinned, transcendent native sighed. Wu Chun, who would have thought that you would be tortured by the Xia people to the point that you no longer have any will to fight? I am not willing to die like this. Have you forgotten about the torture that the Xia people subjected us transcendent natives to? The red-skinned, transcendent native by the side roared. Of course I haven't forgotten. Of course I hate him. We were born from the heavens and earth. We were born to be the rulers of the heavens and earth. Even in death, we won't lower our heads and submit. The green-skinned, transcendent native gritted his teeth. But so what? After all, the Xia people are too strong. Whether they want to kill or enslave, it all depends on the Xia people's whims. Then let's kill them. Killing one is enough. This time, as long as we kill the human transcendent who is trying to break through this stone path, we will gain 1,000 years of freedom. I don't need to be enslaved anymore. The red-skinned, transcendent native's eyes were filled with hatred. Killing one can be considered as relieving the suffocation in my chest. In the eyes of the Xia people, these transcendent natives born from the heavens and earth were too stubborn. It would be fine if they were strong, but it would be very difficult to attack them. Some of the weaker transcendent worlds were completely swept away. If the Xia people really wanted to kill them, they could easily slaughter them. The Xia people did not do that. They were even willing to accept them as long as they became the vassals of the Xia people. They could live and cultivate freely. They were merely vassals. Most of the transcendent natives would rather die than lower their heads. Only a few were willing to follow them. They're here. The two ugly natives stared at a corner in the distance. A black-robed young man, wielding a long spear, walked over from the corner. Suddenly, he stopped, and his gaze landed on the two transcendent natives. Just the two of you? Dongbua Shueing wielded his long spear as he asked. Human, prepare to die. Kill. The two ugly natives roared at the same time. In an instant, they transformed into two shadows and appeared in front of Dongbua Shueing in the blink of an eye. At the same time, the energy of nature started to form around them. The red-skinned, transcendent native was surrounded by blazing flames. The temperature of the flames was so high that even rocks would be turned into dust in an instant. That green-skinned, native transcendent was surrounded by bone-chilling cold. As the cold spread out, it froze everything in its path. Shueying's body was protected by his transcendent qi. But the moment that bone-chilling cold invaded his body, he felt his entire body quivering. Even his transcendent qi was being consumed rapidly. One was blazing flames, the other was bone-chilling cold. The two collided. Ice and fire were polar opposites, causing Dongbua Shueying to feel extremely uncomfortable. He tried to control the energy of the world to suppress them. However, these two transcendent natives were obviously born with the ability to control. In addition, they had already reached the third level of the realm of myriad existences. Their control was not something that Dongbua Shueying could suppress. Being enveloped by ice and fire, coupled with the pressure of the soul on the stone road, the feeling was terrible. But at this moment, he was facing the threat of death. It was too fast. The two of them brandished their axes. One of the axes brought with it a fiery red light, causing the void to tremble and distort. The other axes brought with it an icy cold light. Everywhere it passed, everything seemed to be frozen. Dang! Shueying rapidly retreated. At the same time, his spear shot out like a huge serpent, blocking the nearest fiery red axe that was coming at him. Hong! A powerful force came crashing through the axes, causing Dongbua Shueying to fly backwards uncontrollably, crashing into the array membrane wall beside the stone road. With a pu sound, his back was completely stuck onto the void membrane wall. Many array runes also appeared on the void membrane wall. Such powerful strength. These two transcendent natives have probably reached the peak of the Saint Realm. Dongbua Shueying immediately understood the strength of the two. Peak of the Saint Realm, transcendent natives were both at the third level of the realm of myriad existences. One specialized in fire, the other in ice. They were both extremely ordinary, profound mysteries. In terms of body, the two transcendent natives completely suppressed Dongbua Shueying. Dongbua Shueying was, after all, only at the peak of the Sky Realm. The difference between them was too great. But in terms of cultivation, it was the opposite. Dongbua Shuiying was far above them. This kind of low-grade ice and fiery type profound mysteries, even if they formed a true meaning, they would still be weaker than Dongbua Shuiying. Dongbua Shuiying's water, fire, and wind, profound mysteries combined was indeed incomparably profound. I can't defend against it. I have to rely on my cultivation to win. Dongbua Shuiying immediately understood this point. Currently, he could only fight head-on against a Saint Middle Stage Transcendent. Kill. Kill him. The two ugly natives took the opportunity to chase after him, wanting to kill him in one fell swoop. Suddenly, Dongbua Shuiying's figure blurred, and a total of 6 arms appeared, each holding onto a black spear. This caused the two ugly natives to be startled. Why did he turn to 6 arms and 3 spears? Which one was the real one? Who? Dongbua Shuiying's figure blurred again, and suddenly split into 3 figures. 3 black-robed young men stood in front of him, each of them holding onto a spear with 6 arms. The two ugly transcendent natives were even more confused. Burn him to death. Freeze him to death. The two ugly transcendent natives hurriedly controlled the flames and the bone-chilling cold chi. The two forces pressed forward, but under the scorching heat, the 3 black-robed young men remained standing there without suffering any damage. These illusory figures were formed from the laws of profound mysteries. It was extremely difficult to destroy them. Receive my attack. The 3 Dongbua Shuiyings simultaneously charged forward. 2 of them surrounded him from the sides, while the last one attacked from above. Chapter 153. The 2 transcendent natives panicked because they couldn't tell which one was the real one. Furthermore, each of the Dongbua Shuiying had 6 arms and 3 spears. It would be very difficult for them to block all of them. Let's try and see which one is the real one. The 2 transcendent natives each held a shield as they fought side by side. Using shields? It's useless. My phantoms aren't that easy to break. The 3 Dongbua Shuiyings that flew over stabbed out with the spears in their hands at the same time. 9 spears pierced towards the heads, throats, and other vital parts of the 2 transcendent natives from different directions like 9 flood dragons. Block them quickly. Dongbua Shuiying's spear technique was unpredictable to begin with. Furthermore, there were 9 spear phantoms attacking at the same time. The 2 transcendent natives were weak in terms of cultivation. How could they block 9 spear phantoms with just 2 shields? This was undoubtedly a dream. For a moment, they were at a loss of what to do. Who? 3 spears pierced through the shields like flood dragons. Who? One of the transcendent natives held onto his throat, but blood spurted out from the huge hole in his throat. He immediately fell to the ground. If it was a demon, his vitality might be able to withstand it. But for the transcendent natives, other than a few, most of them wouldn't be able to withstand such fatal injuries. No, the remaining transcendent natives naturally fell to the ground as well. Looking at the corpses of the 2 transcendent natives, Dongbua Shuiying shook his head slightly. Their cultivation was too low. Just their strength and speed alone made them look like stupid beasts. If they couldn't break through Dongbua Shuiying's phantoms, they could only be easily trampled to death. As he continued to walk up the stone path, the oppressive feeling in his soul disappeared, and he felt relaxed. The 3rd segment is also the last segment. The first 2 segments weren't able to threaten me. Hopefully, the 3rd segment will give me some pressure. Dongbua Shuiying was still filled with expectations. Because, according to the records, the mountain path mission was extremely difficult. Let's calculate carefully. In the first segment, it was just an assassin who launched a sneak attack and was easily dealt with. The second stage was obviously much more difficult. The 2 transcendent natives were able to control cold air and flames, and he was also suffering from soul pressure. Both of them were peak martial saints. Fortunately, he had the phantom technique. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult for him to win. The 3rd stage would be even harder. Step by step, he walked up the mountain path. After walking for the time it took to brew a pot of tea, Dongbua Shuiying arrived at the end of the mountain path, which was also the peak of the towering mountain. Standing at the top of the mountain and looking up at the sky, one could already see a building in the clouds in the distance. That was the so-called Sky Prison. It was used by the Xia people to imprison large numbers of fierce and powerful foreign races. This is my opponent. Dongbua Ying looked at the skinny old man who was sitting cross-legged on the peak of the mountain. The skinny old man was only wearing a bee skin, and his entire body was covered in hair. His eyes were turbid as he sat there with his legs crossed, staring blankly at the sky and the Sky Prison. Suddenly, the skinny old man turned towards Dongbua Ying, as though he had sensed something. One day, the old man's turbid eyes suddenly turned vicious as he spoke in a low voice. The Sky Prison will be breached, and the Xia people will perish. Perish? With just you transcendent natives? Dongbua Ying laughed coldly. Stop dreaming. The Xia people are still as confident as ever. The skinny old man chuckled as his chest heaved up and down. His entire body was trembling as he laughed. I really, really hate the faces of you Xia people. If I really want to slaughter all of you Xia people, I can't do it. But today, you Xia people actually asked me to guard the last segment. You even asked me to go all out against you. If I kill you, I will be rewarded handsomely. Haha, such a good request. How can I not satisfy you? Cut the crap. Die. Facing this crazy old man, Dongbua Ying's figure turned blurry. Hua. Immediately, 3 Dongbua Yings appeared. Each of them had 6 arms and a total of 9 spears. You haven't even grasped your true meaning, yet you are able to conjure such realistic illusions. Among the Xia people, you should be considered an elite. The skinny old man raised his head slowly. Killing an elite among transcendents is too interesting. 1. A strange ripple appeared on the skinny old man's body, following which, with him as the center, the ripple spread out in a fan shape. Everywhere it passed, the space around it rippled. Pung, pung. Under the impact of this ripple, the 2 illusions Dongbua Ying created began to shatter. Dongbua Ying's illusory arms and spears also began to shatter. What? Dongbua Ying was startled. It's been broken. His own illusions were the condensation of the laws of profound mysteries. This was a power that transcended material. It was extremely difficult to destroy an illusion. Usually, there were 2 ways to do so. One was to use an extremely powerful transcendent force to directly destroy it. The other was to similarly rely on the laws of profound mysteries to break it. The ripple emitted by this skinny old man was none other than true meanings. What was true meaning? True meaning meant that one's comprehension of the profound mysteries of the world had reached a sufficiently profound level. When these laws of profound mysteries were condensed together, they would materialize. This was true meaning. True meanings by themselves possessed immense power. Ordinary true meanings would find it hard to break his own illusions. His own illusions could already be considered the embryonic form of the grade 3 true meaning, the true meaning of illusions. Dongbua Ying could feel that as long as he followed down this path, he would be able to grasp the true meaning of illusions. And if the true meaning of illusions was a grade higher, it would be able to reach the legendary grade 2 true meaning, the true meaning of mirage. But these were all just playing around with illusions and mirages. To him, it could only be considered a form of support. It was an unorthodox path. When he battled, he still relied on his true offensive strength. Thus, he had never thought of following down the path of the true meaning of illusions. Even so, this was still the embryonic form of a grade 3 true meaning. It was not that easy to break. This is my true meaning, the true meaning of water waves. The skinny old man laughed. I really don't know what you Xia people are thinking. You're just a brat who has yet to grasp a true meaning, yet you dare to fight against me. The moment he finished speaking, the skinny old man leapt up from the ground, turning into a stream of light as he charged towards Dongbua Ying. His aura was like that of a dragon. Die for me. The skinny old man's palm slapped towards Dongbua Ying. Clang. His opponent was too fast. Dongbua Ying hurriedly used the spear in his hand to block the attack. The tip of the spear pierced towards his opponent's palms. However, his opponent's palms were protected by a layer of true meaning. This layer of true meaning was condensed from the laws of profound mysteries. Dongbua Shui Ying's spear, which was formed from the condensation of wind, water, and fire, could only pierce through the layer of true meaning with great difficulty. The remnant force of the spear could no longer pierce through the layer of true meaning. Pong! The moment both sides clashed, they separated. Under the impact of both palms, the shaft of the spear was bent, causing Dongbua Shui Ying's entire body to fly backwards. Although the shaft of the spear tried its best to dissipate the force, some of the hidden force was still transmitted through the spear and into Dongbua Shui Ying's body. It was as though he had fallen into a surging wave. Hong, hong, hong. An endless stream of hidden energy surged through his body. Pooh! Fresh blood spurted out from his mouth as Dongbua Shui Ying fell to the ground. He immediately used his hands to support himself. Damn it! Dongbua Shui Ying could feel his internal organs being lacerated. Propping himself against the ground, fresh blood spurted out from his mouth. Fortunately, he had awakened his primordial bloodline, which granted him a powerful recovery ability. Otherwise, this hidden energy alone would have killed him. Chapter 154. He actually didn't die. After the skinny old man landed on the ground, he laughed savagely. Very good. Then you shall experience my strongest strength. As he spoke, his originally thin and small body rapidly became tall and sturdy, as if he was being inflated. The muscles on his back bulged up, and under his bulging shoulder blades, 2 white palms stretched out, carrying traces of blood, just like that. In the blink of an eye, the skinny old man had transformed into a sturdy 4-armed old man. Dongbua Shui Ying's expression changed slightly, but he wasn't surprised. After all, his opponent was a transcendent native, and he naturally had some innate techniques. Now that his aura had become stronger and he had 4 arms, it should be his innate techniques. Previously, he had severely injured me. Now that his strength has increased and he has 4 arms, it will be too difficult to block him. Dongbua Shui Ying's internal organs were recovering rapidly. He swallowed the blood that had reached his throat and stood up. However, I still have to try. This kind of battle will be more interesting. Receive my move. Dongbua Shui Ying roared out, and he actually took the initiative to charge out. His figure arced through the air, charging towards the 4-armed old man from his side. You actually dare to take the initiative to attack me? The 4-armed old man laughed coldly as he sent out a palm strike. Hula! The spear was like a huge python, drifting strangely as it lashed out. When it neared the palm, it was actually extremely slippery, slipping past the palm. It was either a whip, a thrust, or a collapse. After suffering a setback previously, Dongbua Shui Ying knew that his opponent's palm strike contained a hidden impact force. Thus, his battle style changed accordingly. Every single move he made would be retracted as soon as they collided. He was unpredictable and didn't give his opponent any chance to unleash his true strength. He was like a venomous snake that was constantly searching for an opportunity. Once he found one, he would kill with a single strike. He actually couldn't unleash his true strength even once. The 4-armed old man was astonished. He had plenty of battle experience, and his true intent of water wasn't the kind of true intent that allowed one to clash head-on. Yet, he couldn't find an opportunity. As long as he made a mistake, he would be severely injured or even defeated. Under such pressure, Dongbua Shui Ying went all out, pushing himself to his limits as he executed his spear arts to the maximum. This sort of pressure was extremely satisfying. To his heart's content, he had cultivated in the Scarlet Cloud mountain world for more than 20 years, and under this kind of threat, almost every move he made was displayed to its most perfect state. Every move was continuous, and the fusion of the 3 profound mysteries of water, fire, and wind became more and more perfect. Kid, you're really slippery, but it's useless. With a gap in strength, no matter how much you struggle, it's useless. I won't waste any more time with you. Die! The four-armed old man's expression was ferocious. He couldn't be bothered to waste any more time and directly use the most barbaric method of battle. His four arms started to attack Dongbua Shui Ying crazily. At the same time, he was approaching Dongbua Shui Ying as fast as he could. Clap, clap, clap. His speed was much faster than Dongbua Shui Ying. If he were to get close to Dongbua Shui Ying, it would be impossible for him to shake him off. His four arms slapped furiously, and every single slap was extremely powerful. Dongbua Shui Ying could only defend against it, because if he didn't defend, the palm would land on his body, and through the spear, he would be heavily injured. If the palm landed on his body, he would probably die instantly. This was an extremely barbaric method of battle. Previously, both parties were still comparing their battle techniques. The four-armed old man thought that with his rich experience, he should be able to win. But after fighting for a while, he gave up. He chose to use the most barbaric method. An earth-shattering palm slapped towards him. It was fast and ferocious. With his speed, he wouldn't be able to dodge it. He could only defend against it. But the four arms were slashing furiously, and he only had a single spear. How could he defend against it? With the hidden force behind the palm, he definitely wouldn't be able to defend against it. I can only attack. Dongbua Shui Ying's eyes were filled with resolution. Attacking was the best defense, and the best defense. Fight! Hua! The spear in his hand spun, and the spear shot out like a flood dragon. The tricolored energies of water, fire, and wind revolved around the spear, intertwining together at the tip of the spear. Break for me! Facing the incoming palms that were filled with the aura of death, Dongbua Shui Ying only had one thought in his mind. Break it. Break that palm. The surroundings suddenly turned silent. The space seemed to have stopped, and the flow of time seemed to have slowed down. The tricolored profound mysteries of water, fire, and wind converged at the tip of the spear. It was as though the heavenly lightning had triggered the earthly fire, and the three profound mysteries seemed to have some sort of special reaction. At the moment when they converged, Dongbua Shui Ying could vaguely see a world of nothingness, and within that world of nothingness, there was a gigantic sphere that was slowly rotating, boundless void, regardless of time or space. In this gigantic sphere, everything was converging, and everything was converging at a single point. This point was the beginning of everything, and it was also the end of everything. The tricolored profound mysteries of water, fire, and wind intertwined together, condensing into a blurry point that pierced through everything. The four-armed old man was still crazily waving his palms, covering the sky and covering the earth. Facing that crazily thrusting spear, he laughed sinisterly. He was incomparably confident that this human transcendent would definitely not be able to block it. He was afraid that a single palm strike would heavily injure him, and 3 or 4 palm strikes would definitely kill him. Suddenly, Dongbua Shui Ying, who had stabbed out with the spear, had actually disappeared along with the spear. He had disappeared without a trace. Then, he appeared right in front of the four-armed old man, only 2 to 3 meters away. The tip of the black spear was only 1 chi away from his eyes. How was this possible? The four-armed old man was shocked, and his entire body trembled. How did he suddenly disappear? Did he suddenly appear after passing through space? The tip of the spear was so close to him, and he couldn't even block it in time. Gee, it was too fast. The four-armed old man was merely shocked. Even though he was a transcendent, he couldn't react in time. The spear instantly drew a black arc through the air, piercing through the forehead of the four-armed old man. Although he was protected by a layer of true meaning and transcendent Do Chi, at this moment, the tip of the spear had a terrifying penetrative power. Not only did it pierce through space, it even affected time itself. Shwa! Everywhere the spear passed through, a black line was left behind as it pierced through the head of the four-armed old man. Both sides crossed each other. Dongbua Shui Ying stood behind the four-armed old man. The four-armed old man stood there in a daze. His head seemed to be uninjured, but in reality, it was only because the attack was too fast that it affected time and space. That was why no wound could be seen with the naked eye. Dying under such an embryonic form of a true meaning. I have nothing to say. The four-armed old man muttered. Is this an embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning or a grade 1 true meaning? It was too terrifying. That was definitely not a true meaning, because even the laws of profound mysteries had yet to materialize. It should just be an embryonic form of a true meaning. But just an embryonic form of a true meaning was already so frightening. It was much stronger than his complete grade 7 true meaning. It was definitely a legendary existence. At the very least, it should be an embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning, or perhaps an embryonic form of a grade 1 true meaning that had never appeared in this world since ancient times. To die under such an embryonic form of a true meaning was indeed an honor. Pump. Following that, fresh blood slowly flowed out from his forehead. His body went limp, and he fell to the ground. In a remote courtyard of the infernal palace, within a study, Kong Yang's back was ramrod straight as he sat in front of table. In front of him was a pile of scrolls. He was coldly reading the secret information recorded within. These were all information regarding the Beast Clan and the demonic faction that the 6 transcendent organizations of the Xia people, including the Bloodshed Tavern and the Temple of the Earth God, had investigated. The higher-ups and elders of the Xia people were always on guard against the Beast Clan and the demonic faction. Amen. Kong Yang frowned. His communication wristband suddenly received a message. Scarlet Cloud Mountain World's substitute elder, Dongbua Shui Ying, has completed the special mission Mountain Road. Chapter 155. He actually didn't die. After the skinny old man landed on the ground, he laughed savagely. Very good. Then you shall experience my strongest strength. As he spoke, his originally thin and small body rapidly became tall and sturdy, as if he was being inflated. The muscles on his back bulged up, and under his bulging shoulder blades, 2 white palms stretched out, carrying traces of blood, just like that. In the blink of an eye, the skinny old man had transformed into a sturdy four-armed old man. Dongbua Shui Ying's expression changed slightly, but he wasn't surprised at all. After all, his opponent was a transcendent native, and he should have some innate techniques. Now that his aura had become stronger and he had 4 arms, it should be his innate techniques. Previously, he had severely injured me. Now that his strength has increased and he has 4 arms, it will be too difficult to block him. Dongbua Shui Ying's internal organs were recovering rapidly. He swallowed the blood that had reached his throat and stood up. However, I still have to try. This kind of battle is more interesting. Receive my move. Dongbua Shui Ying roared out, and he actually took the initiative to charge out. His figure arced through the air, charging towards the 4-armed old man from the side. You actually dare to take the initiative to attack me? The 4-armed old man laughed coldly as he sent out a palm strike. Hula! The spear was like a huge python, drifting in a strange manner as it lashed out. When it got close to the palm, it was actually extremely slippery, sliding past the palm. It was either a whip, a thrust, or a collapse. After suffering a loss previously, Dongbua Shui Ying knew that his opponent's palm strike contained a hidden impact force. Thus, his battle style changed accordingly. Every single move he made would be retracted as soon as they collided. He was unpredictable and didn't give his opponent any chance to unleash his true strength. He was like a venomous snake that was constantly searching for an opportunity. Once he found one, he would kill with a single strike. He actually couldn't unleash his true strength, even once. The 4-armed old man was astonished. He had plenty of battle experience, and his true intent of water wasn't the kind of true intent that would clash head-on. Yet, he still couldn't find an opportunity. As long as he made a single mistake, he would be severely injured or even defeated. Under such pressure, Dongbua Shui Ying went all out, squeezing out his limits and displaying his spear arts to the extreme. This sort of pressure was extremely satisfying. To his heart's content, he had cultivated in the Scarlet Cloud Mountain world for more than 20 years, and under this kind of threat, Almost every move he made was displayed to its most perfect state. Every move was continuous, and the fusion of the three profound mysteries of water, fire, and wind became more and more perfect. Kid, you're really slippery, but it's useless. With a gap in strength, no matter how much you struggle, it's useless. I won't waste any more time with you. Die. The four-armed old man's expression was ferocious. He couldn't be bothered to waste any more time and directly use the most barbaric method of battle. His four arms started to attack Dongbua Shui Ying crazily. At the same time, he was approaching Dongbua Shui Ying as fast as he could. Clap, clap, clap. His speed was much faster than Dongbua Shui Ying. If he were to get close to Dongbua Shui Ying, it would be impossible for him to shake him off. His four arms slapped furiously, and every single slap was extremely powerful. Dongbua Shui Ying could only defend against it, because if he didn't defend, the palm would land on his body, and through the spear, he would be heavily injured. If the palm landed on his body, he would probably die instantly. This was an extremely barbaric method of battle. Previously, both parties were still comparing their battle techniques. The four-armed old man thought that with his rich experience, he should be able to win. But after fighting for a while, he gave up. He chose to use the most barbaric method. An earth-shattering palm slapped towards him. It was fast and ferocious. With his speed, he wouldn't be able to dodge it. He could only defend against it. But the four arms were slashing furiously, and he only had a single spear. How could he defend against it? With the hidden force behind the palm, he definitely wouldn't be able to defend against it. I can only attack. Dongbua Shui Ying's eyes were filled with resolution. Attacking was the best defense, and the best defense. Fight! Hua! The spear in his hand spun, and the spear shot out like a flood dragon. The tricolored energies of water, fire, and wind revolved around the spear, intertwining together at the tip of the spear. Break for me! Facing the incoming palms that were filled with the aura of death, Dongbua Shui Ying only had one thought in his mind. Break it. Break that palm. The surroundings suddenly turned silent. The space seemed to have stopped, and the flow of time seemed to have slowed down. The tricolored profound mysteries of water, fire, and wind converged at the tip of the spear. It was as though the heavenly lightning had triggered the earthly fire, and the three profound mysteries seemed to have some sort of special reaction. At the moment when they converged, Dongbua Shui Ying could vaguely see a world of nothingness, and within that world of nothingness, there was a gigantic sphere that was slowly rotating, boundless void, regardless of time or space. In this gigantic sphere, everything was converging, and everything was converging at a single point. This point was the beginning of everything, and it was also the end of everything. The tricolored profound mysteries of water, fire, and wind intertwined together, condensing into a blurry point that pierced through everything. The four-armed old man was still crazily waving his palms, covering the sky and covering the earth. Facing that crazily thrusting spear, he laughed sinisterly. He was incomparably confident that this human transcendent would definitely not be able to block it. He was afraid that a single palm strike would heavily injure him, and 3 or 4 palm strikes would definitely kill him. Suddenly, Dongbua Shui Ying, who had stabbed out with the spear, had actually disappeared along with the spear. He had disappeared without a trace. Then, he reappeared in front of the four-armed old man, only 2 to 3 meters away. The tip of the black spear was only 1 chi away from his eyes. How is this possible? The four-armed old man was shocked, and his entire body trembled. How did he suddenly disappear? Did he suddenly appear after passing through space? The tip of the spear was so close to him, and he couldn't even block it in time. It was too fast. The four-armed old man was only shocked. Even though he was a transcendent, he couldn't react in time. The spear instantly drew a black arc through the air, piercing through the forehead of the four-armed old man. Although he was protected by a layer of true meaning and transcendent Do Chi, at this moment, the tip of the spear had a terrifying penetrative power. Not only did it pierce through space, it even affected time itself. Schwa. Everywhere the spear passed through, a black line was left behind as it pierced through the head of the four-armed old man. Both sides crossed each other. Dongbua Shuang stood behind the four-armed old man. The four-armed old man stood there in a daze. His head seemed to be uninjured, but in reality, it was only because the attack was too fast that it affected time and space. That was why no wound could be seen with the naked eye. Dying under this embryonic form of true meaning. I have nothing to say. The four-armed old man muttered, "Is this the embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning, or the embryonic form of a grade 1 true meaning?" It was too terrifying. That was definitely not a true meaning, because even the laws of profound mysteries had yet to materialize. It should only be the embryonic form of a true meaning. But just the embryonic form of a true meaning was already so frightening. It was much stronger than his complete grade 7 true meaning. It was definitely a legendary existence. At the very least, it should be the embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning, or the embryonic form of a grade 1 true meaning that had never appeared in this world since ancient times. To die under such an embryonic form of true meaning was indeed an honor. Punk. Following that, fresh blood flowed out from his forehead. His body went limp, and he fell to the ground. In a remote courtyard of the Infernal Palace, within a study room, Si Kong Yang's back was ramrod straight as he sat in front of a table. In front of him was a pile of scrolls. He was coldly looking at the secret information recorded within. These were all information regarding the Beast Clan and the demonic faction that the 6 transcendent organizations of the Xia people, including the Bloodshed Tavern and the Temple of the Earth God, had investigated. The higher-ups of the Xia people were always on guard against the Beast Clan and the demonic faction. MN. Si Kong Yang frowned. His communication wristband suddenly received a message. Scarlet Cloud Mountain World's substitute elder, Dongbua Shui Ying, has completed the special mission Mountain Road. Chapter 156. Dongbua Shuang, Mountain Road Mission. Si Kong Yang, the demigod overlord who stood at the peak of this world, was also stunned. His thoughts were in chaos, and it took him a full breath of time to calm down. One could not blame him for losing his composure. This news was simply too shocking. If it was an ordinary transcendent, they might not understand what the Mountain Road mission entailed. However, as the person in charge of the Scarlet Cloud Mountain World, he was very clear on what the Mountain Road mission entailed. The more he understood how inconceivable it was for Dongbua Shui Ying to be able to accomplish what he did. He completed the Mountain Road mission. How is this possible? Si Kong Yang could not help but ask. This news was transmitted by the artifact spirit of the Infernal Palace. Logically speaking, it should not be wrong. However, this news was too important, so he had to confirm it again. Faction head Si Kong Yang, the news is correct. Substitute elder Dongbua Shui Ying stepped onto the Mountain Road mission alone today. Furthermore, he has already killed a native transcendent who grasped the grade 7 true meaning of water waves, the artifact spirit replied. Really? He really completed it. Si Kong Yang had a strange expression on his face. He was filled with disbelief, excitement, and complicated emotions. There was even a trace of a bitter smile. This Dongbua Shuang is really a ruthless slap to my face. Si Kong Yang did not know whether to laugh or cry. He actually played such a trick. However, he did a good job. No matter what, Dongbua Shuang was still a member of his Water Daoist faction. Although he was very disappointed before, since Dongbua Shui Ying had walked on a path that was better than what he had originally planned, it was naturally worthy of praise. The Mountain Road mission was extremely difficult. Under normal circumstances, one would need to grasp the embryonic form of a grade 3 true meaning, choose the best weapon, have plenty of battle experience, and have a strong secret technique. In short, one would need to be fully prepared in order to have a chance of succeeding. If one grasped the embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning, it would be much easier to win. What about Dongbua Shuang? One must know that Shui Ying's weapons were quite ordinary. That spear of his was merely a low-grade saint-ranked weapon. The combat boots he was wearing were also quite ordinary. The only thing he had was a top-grade saint-ranked inner armor. Even so, it was still used to protect his life. Its help in attacking was negligible. In terms of battle experience, he could only be considered average. After all, he was too young and had too few life and death battles. Secret arts? It was ordinary. Like the bloodshed tavern and temple of the earth god, the Transcendence used deity-ranked secret techniques. Therefore, in terms of weapons, experience, and secret techniques, he could not be considered perfect. However, he still managed to complete the mountain path mission. This was too heaven-defying. Either that, or the embryonic form of the grade 3 true meaning that Dongbua Shuang had comprehended was very strange and could restrain that native transcendent. Either that, or Dongbua Shuang had comprehended the embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning. The embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning. Sikong Yang's heart trembled at the thought. Xia people had only comprehended a grade 2 true meaning since ancient times. In the records of the deity world, a grade 2 true meaning could be considered as a legendary true meaning. It was truly terrifying and powerful. The reason why he valued Dororo so much was because her profound mystery of time was a grade 2 true meaning. Currently, she was only at the second level of the myriad existences realm. In the future, her chances of comprehending a grade 2 true meaning was less than 10%. But the embryonic form of a true meaning was different. The moment one grasped the embryonic form of a true meaning, as long as one spent some time, it would be easy to perfect it. Dongbua Shuang was currently extremely young. According to his age, he would only need to spend a few more decades before he could complete the embryonic form of a true meaning. I hope it's an embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning. I really hope so. Sikong Yang was looking forward to it. His eyes were filled with hope. I was so close. I was so close to destroying him. Sikong Yang rejoiced. Fortunately, Dongbua Shuang was so insistent. Otherwise, even if Dongbua Shuang grasped the true meaning of water and fire and became a demigod, he would only be able to reach Sikong Yang's level. To the entire Xia people, Dongbua Shuang was only the icing on the cake. After all, there were still quite a few people at the level of Xia people. But if a demigod with a grade 2 true meaning was born, that would be different. Qiu Qi was already considered to be the number 1 demigod in the world. And if Dongbua Shuang had a grade 2 true meaning, he would truly dominate an era. At his peak, the demonic beast clan, demonic faction, and native transcendents would all cower and not dare to make a sound. Who? Sikong Yang stood up. With a step, he disappeared from the study. Not only Sikong Yang, 3 other demigods also received the news. They were the teachers in the Scarlet Cloud Mountain world, Qiu Qibai and Gong Yu, and the Infernal Palace's palace master. Scarlet Cloud Mountain world. Who? At the foot of the mountain path, the space distorted and 4 figures appeared one after another. Everyone is here. The black-haired old man revealed a smile. Palace head Chun, Qiu Qibai said, "Do you know what embryonic form of true meaning Brother Shuang is comprehended? Was it grade 3 or grade 2? That's right. Palace Lord, what is the true meaning's embryonic form?" Gong Yu was also excited. Even Sikong Yang was looking at the black-haired old man. The black-haired old man was the only one in the entire Infernal Palace who knew about the battle. Don't be anxious. The black-haired old man chuckled. Those who could become the Infernal Palace's palace lord were absolutely loyal to the people of the Infernal Palace. They were willing to dedicate their lives to the people of the Xia people. When he heard the news, he was also filled with joy and happiness. "Old man, stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and tell us." Sikong Yang couldn't help but say, "Ha ha ha, Sikong Yang, to think that you would have such a day. Previously, when you scolded Dongbua Shuang, weren't you the one who scolded him the most?" The black-haired old man joked. "You with the surname Chun, didn't you not object when I scolded you?" Sikong Yang glared at him. If you know, then say it. If you don't, then stop talking nonsense. The black-haired old man smiled helplessly. All right, I really don't know. Although the Infernal Palace's treasure spirit saw the battle, it couldn't recognize it. Furthermore, Dongbua Shui Ying's move was too mysterious. It couldn't really understand it. Couldn't recognize it? Qiu Qi Bai, Si Kong Yang, and Gong Yu were all shocked. How long had the treasure spirit been alive? How could it not recognize it despite being so knowledgeable? That battle situation was roughly like this. As the black-haired old man spoke, he waved his hand, and an illusion appeared in midair. A black-clothed Dongbua Shui Ying wielding a long spear could be seen. On the other side, the four-armed old man was directly suppressing Dongbua Shui Ying with his forearms. Who? The long spear pierced through space. Dongbua Shui Ying instantly disappeared and reappeared in front of the four-armed old man. The tip of the spear was only a foot away from the old man's eyes. Dongbua Shui Ying quickly pierced through the old man's eyes. Dongbua Shui Ying left behind a black trail. However, there were no visible wounds on the old man's body. Before he died, he said, "Dying under such an embryonic form of true meaning, I have nothing to say. Is this an embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning or a grade 1? That's what happened, the black-haired old man said. The black-haired old man said, as for the details of the laws and profound mysteries caused by the battle, the artifact spirit is unable to display them. Just from the battle surface, I couldn't tell what kind of embryonic form of true meaning it was. I couldn't tell. Qiu Qi Bai shook his head. It seems to have pierced through space. But why is there no visible wounds on the four-armed old man's body? It doesn't seem to be a space-type true meaning. He was very confident in the aspect of space. I couldn't tell either. Si Kong Yang frowned and shook his head. If it was a sword or some other thin weapon, it would be fine. If it was a space-type attack, it would be fine. Dongbua Shui Ying clearly used his long spear to pierce through the four-armed old man. The long spear was so thick, but there weren't any visible wounds? Do you think that the four-armed old man who died under this move was an embryonic form of a grade 2 or grade 1 true meaning? Gong Yu suddenly asked. Chapter 157. We can only see simple battle scenes. Qi Qiubai laughed, and that four-armed old man died under that move, so he can understand how powerful that move is. He suspects that it is an embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning, or even an embryonic form of a grade 1 true meaning. There must be a reason behind it. Rank 1? I don't even dare to think about it. Abbot Si Kong Yang shook his head. Grade 1 true meaning. In the countless worlds, even in the immortal world, this was the pinnacle of true intent, a legend among legends. Just from the names of the grade, 2 true meanings, true meaning of annihilation, true meaning of reincarnation, true meaning of time stop, true meaning of yin-yang, true meaning of space, true meaning of lepton, and so on, one could deduce how terrifying these true meanings were. There was no need to even mention the grade 1 true meanings that were above them. Every single grade 1 true meaning represented the essence of a certain aspect of the world. Haha, I reckon that this transcendent native has too little experience. Gong Yu laughed. However, to be able to complete the mountain road mission, Dongbua Shui Ying's combat experience, weapons, and secret techniques aren't considered perfect. In addition to that battle scene, I feel that there is more than an 80% chance that it should be the embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning. I'm also leaning towards the embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning, the black-haired old man said. Who would have thought that our Xia people would give birth to yet another powerful expert with a grade 2 true meaning? Si Kong Yang sighed. He laughed self-mockingly, and he was almost destroyed by my hands. Previously, it was just a suspicion, but after seeing the battle and hearing what the four-armed old man said before his death, the possibility of Dongbua Shui Ying grasping hold of the embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning had greatly increased. The way you suppressed Dongbua Shui Ying previously was very powerful, the black-haired old man said. This time, you have to make up for it. Of course, he will correct his mistakes. Abbot Si Kong Yang nodded and said, I will put him first in the ranking. First place? Chi Bai laughed. Definitely number one. Even if he doesn't have the embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning, just the embryonic form of a grade 3 true meaning is enough. Kong Yang said, none of the other young transcendents have grasped the embryonic form of their true meaning, but Dongbua Shui Ying has grasped it. And he's so young. Furthermore, it was highly possible that he had grasped hold of the embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning. That's right, everyone, please don't leak this battle scene. Try to keep Dongbua Shui Ying's strength a secret. Don't worry, it will only be limited to the four of us. The black-haired old man, Palace Lord Chun, nodded. Let's tell others that Dongbua Shui Ying has grasped hold of the embryonic form of a grade 3 true meaning. When the time comes, we'll remind Dongbua Shui Ying. There are also some life-saving treasures that need to be prepared. Kong Yang said, we'll have to trouble you, old Chun. Our water Taoist faction's treasures are still not enough. Definitely. Palace Lord Chun did not object at all. The authority of the Infernal Palace Lord was huge. Because of his absolute loyalty, he had control over some of the treasures of the Xia people. Clearly, Dongbua Shui Ying's current status had skyrocketed, and he was worthy of the protection of the Xia people. The four demigods discussed and formulated a plan to protect Dongbua Shui Ying's growth. And at the end of the mountain road, which was also the peak of this towering mountain, Dongbua Shui Ying himself was not in a hurry to descend the mountain. I can't look down on sane transcendence. Dongbua Shui Ying looked at the corpse of the four-armed old man in front of him. He was reflecting on this battle and learning from it. Just like the two native transcendents he met in the second section of the mountain road. Even though they were peak stage saint transcendents, their comprehension of the realms was too low. They only had strength and speed. The moment they were suppressed in terms of their comprehension of the realms, they would be easily killed. But this four-armed old man was completely different. The Xia people even forbade him from using any transcendent weapons. He fought with his bare fists. Even so, because he had grasped hold of the grade 7 true meaning, the true meaning of water waves, he was able to unleash his full strength, causing Dongbua Shui Ying to be battered and exhausted. When their weapons clashed, he was still heavily injured. If he did not break through, he would have to admit defeat and despair and let the weapon spirit save him. If he was too slow in asking for help, he might even lose his life. Even though I've broken through, Dongbua Shui Ying thought, but those truly powerful peak stage saint transcendents usually have powerful weapons and grasp hold of their true meanings. I still can't look down on them. The embryonic form of my true meaning has to be perfected. My combat power has to become stronger. Only when he grasped hold of his true meaning would he have the qualifications to look down on the world. Right now, he was still too naive. This time, the embryonic form of my true meaning. Dongbua Shui Ying extended his finger, lightly swiping it in front of his eyes. 3 profound mysteries revolved around his finger, casually piercing through space. The space was stacked layer by layer, piercing through many layers. At the moment when he pierced through space, Dongbua Shui Ying's soul once again felt that illusory scene. In that vast world, there's only a huge sphere that was slowly rotating, the end of everything, the beginning of everything. The origin of time and space. Everything in the world had converged into one. All the profound mysteries that he could sense and understand had converged into one. Cultivators could comprehend all sorts of profound mysteries from the world, but at this moment he felt as though everything in the world had condensed into a sphere, a complete point. Extremity? Dongbua Shui Ying could still feel his heart beating very quickly. His finger lightly swiped in front of his eyes. Layers of space seemed to have been pierced through, and even the flow of time was disrupted. Under this piercing, all the natural energies in the world seemed to have evaded like waves, easily piercing through. Is that the extremity? The myriad existences return to one, the end of all cultivation, and also the beginning of everything? Dongbua Shui Ying did not dare believe that he could actually touch upon the most superficial layer of the extremity. But no matter what, it was still related to the true meaning of extremity. This should be considered a branch of the true meaning of extremity. If I really have to give a name, it should be the true meaning of extreme piercing, dongbua shuang thought. The true meaning of extreme piercing was a branch of the true meaning of extremity. It should be a grade 2 true meaning. The true meaning of extremity itself was extremely perfect. Everything had converged into one, and it had a frightening offensive and defensive power. It could even affect time and space itself. After all, to be able to become a grade 1 true meaning, it should be perfect without flaws. As for the profound mysteries of water, fire, and wind, they did not have the qualifications to condense such a perfect embryonic form of a true meaning. Water, fire, and wind. Water and fire complemented each other, causing their power to soar. Wind aided the power of fire. Fire aided the power of wind. Wind aided the power of the waves, while the waves increased the power of the wind. The three complemented each other, allowing their power to continuously overlap, and finally, under the perfect fusion of the three profound mysteries, they converged into a point which then pierced through and destroyed all obstructions. Even though it only represented a branch of the true meaning of extremity, the embryonic form of the true meaning of extreme piercing, the penetrative power it possessed was extremely terrifying. Extreme piercing represented a purely offensive aspect of the true meaning of extremity. It contained a frightening penetrative power. Under the extremity, everything could be pierced through. It was a purely offensive, true meaning. True meanings were also categorized. For example, Qiuqi Bai's true meaning of void cleavage and Elder Ao Lan's true meaning of life were both grade 3 true meanings. Why was Qiuqi Bai recognized as the number 1 true meaning under the heavens? It was because Qiuqi Bai's true meaning of void cleavage was a true meaning that walked the path of extreme offense, causing it to be extremely frightening during battles. It was the same logic. The true meaning of extreme piercing was a grade 2 true meaning that walked the path of extreme offense. That was why the four-armed old man felt that this embryonic form of a true meaning was too frightening. He even suspected that it was the embryonic form of a grade 1 true meaning. In reality, this was indeed the embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning. It was just that it was a true meaning that walked the path of extreme. The three profound mysteries of water, fire, and wind were fused in different ways, resulting in different results. Previously, when he fused them together, it allowed Dongbua Shui Ying to grasp the grade 3 true meaning of illusions, the embryonic form of the true meaning of illusions. At that time, Dongbua Shui Ying was not satisfied. Only now, when he fused them together, did Dongbua Shui Ying reach the pinnacle of perfection of the fusion of water, fire, and wind. Water, fire, and wind were destined to specialize in offense. In terms of defense and other aspects, they were still lacking. The true meaning of extreme piercing is already quite amazing. Dongbua Shui Ying frowned. His rationality told him that this was already very amazing. However, his heart was still not satisfied. What I'm pursuing is the pinnacle of spear techniques. In terms of offense, I'm very satisfied. But for a true pinnacle spear technique, just offense alone is enough? Dongbua Shui Ying shook his head. Amen. I'll continue to improve on the true meaning of extreme piercing, making it even stronger in terms of offense. However, the other aspects have to be perfected as well. After making up his mind, Dongbua Shui Ying took a step forward and flew out of the mountain peak. He arced across the sky and flew towards the bamboo house mountain in the distance. At this moment, the other 4 silhouettes flew over as well, heading towards Dongbua Shui Ying. Bamboo house mountain. Hot spring water permeated the air. Within a bamboo house, a purple-robed senior sister Zhua Yi walked out of her house. She stood in the courtyard of her own bamboo house and looked at the beautiful scenery. She was in an extremely good mood. Big Brother Eternal Wind is such a good person. He's so diligent even when guiding others. Senior sister Zhua Yi had a smile on her face. He doesn't have a wife either. I don't believe that he won't be moved after a long time. Shui was very confident in herself. She had long since looked down on those transcendents in the Scarlet Cloud Mountain world. Sidu Hong was an idiot who was fickle in love. That Dongbua Shui Ying might be young, but he had no future at all. Big Brother Eternal Wind is still the best. The more Shui interacted with Xiu Qi Bai, the more she was infatuated with him. It was a pity that Xiu Qi Bai didn't have any interest in her at all. However, Shui still felt that as time passed, she would be able to succeed. Amen. Shui looked at the jade pillar in the courtyard suspiciously. On the jade pillar was the latest ranking of the transcendents in the Scarlet Cloud Mountain. Ranking 1, Dongbua Shuiying, Profound Mysteries of Water, Fire, and Wind, 3rd level. Completed the Mountain Road Life-Death mission. Shui couldn't help but widen her eyes. She then rubbed her eyes and looked at it carefully again. Chapter 158. Shui looked at it again and again. At this moment, her emotions were complicated. She had a good impression of this junior disciple of hers, Dongbua Shuiying, because he was young and had decent looks. It was just that as Dongbua Shuiying stubbornly walked down the wrong path in his cultivation, the two of them gradually drifted apart. Actually, if Dongbua Shuiying was only ranked first, she would not be so shocked. However, completing the Mountain Road Life-Death mission had truly stimulated her, because completing this mission meant that he should have grasped hold of the embryonic form of a grade 3 true meaning. She did not dare to think about the embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning. However, once Dongbua Shuiying grasped hold of the embryonic form of a grade 3 true meaning, it would not take long before he grasped the complete grade 3 true meaning. In the future, he might even be comparable to Xiu Qi Bai. Even Xiu Qi Bai did not grasp hold of a grade 3 true meaning so quickly. Dongbua Shuiying was too young, and he might even be able to condense a grade 3 true meaning, the true deity heart. How could this be? Shui felt complicated. At this moment, she felt that the gap between them was no longer on the same level. Dongbua Shuiying was destined to stand at the apex of the entire Xia people's world. Ha! It's just a small matter. I settled it in a single move. It's not worth mentioning. Within a private room of a restaurant in the Xia capital, Sidu Hong was currently drinking wine with two other Sky Realm transcendents. To Brother Situ, it might be a small matter. However, to us, it was a life and death crisis. Fortunately, Brother Situ came with us to accept the mission. Otherwise, one of us would have died. The black plump man beside him laughed. Come, let's drink. We won't say much about this life-saving grace. We'll remember it in our hearts. Drink. Brother Situ's combat power is truly unfathomable. Amongst the Sky Realm transcendents, I'm afraid no one is stronger than you. From what I see, most middle-stage saints aren't Brother Situ's opponent. Middle-stage saint? I just want to temper myself during the Sky Realm so that my foundation will be more solid. If I really want to break through, I can break through at any time. Situ Hong boasted. The reason why he stayed at the Sky Realm was so that he could eat more precious spirit liquids in the Scarlet Cloud Mountain world. With his long time of cultivation and the fact that he had reached the 3rd level of the profound mysteries of space, he was indeed able to break through at any time with his transcendent Do Chi. But he endured it. Enjoy those resources. Brother Situ is amazing. For the sake of a more solid foundation, you would rather stay longer. I'm impressed. The other two transcendents continued to flatter him. In the world of transcendence, strength still mattered. Situ Hong's strength was indeed one of the top amongst the Sky Realm transcendents. In fact, he would definitely step into the Saint Realm. Naturally, he would be flattered. Situ Hong was also very happy. Being with these weaker transcendents from the outside made him very happy. This feeling of being flattered was something he enjoyed very much. Situ Hong suddenly frowned. Wen Yong, who had a good relationship with everyone in the Scarlet Cloud Mountain world, had sent him a message. Rank 1. Dongbua Shuiying, profound mysteries of water, fire, and wind completed the mountain road life and death mission. Junior one, are you sure? Sidhu Hong was stunned for a moment before asking. Why don't you come to the Scarlet Cloud Mountain world and take a look at the pillar? Wen Yong and didn't explain further. Mountain road mission? Sidhu Hong didn't dare to believe it. This Dongbua Shuang can complete it. He had tried it before, but it was too difficult. The second stage of the mountain road's soul pressure made him feel extremely uncomfortable. Those two were transcendent natives at the peak of the Saint Realm, not to mention the even more difficult mountain road's third stage. His strength is higher than mine? Sidhu Hong was both angry and unwilling to believe it. In terms of ranking, Dururu was previously ranked first, but he was at the third level of the profound mysteries of space. He believed that his strength was number one in the Scarlet Cloud Mountain world. He had tried the mountain road mission before and knew how terrifying it was. He understood that Dongbua Shuang might really be stronger than him. I haven't even grasped the embryonic form of a true meaning, but he has. Sidhu Hong gritted his teeth. He remembered the prophecy Qiu Qi Bai gave him. To grasp the true meaning, he would need to spend at least 10 times the amount of time needed to step into the third level of the realms of myriad existences. Wait and see. I will definitely grasp the true meaning of spatial fissure, and in the future, I will be able to stand shoulder to shoulder with the eternal Wind Knight. I will stand at the peak of the Xia people's world. Dongbua Shuang will still be trampled beneath my feet. Sidhu Hong gritted his teeth. He felt as though his heart was being bitten by ants. Let's not talk about the reactions of the young transcendents in the Scarlet Cloud Mountain world when they received the news. Dongbua Shuang had just flown down from the mountain peak when he met 4 demigod existences. Dongbua Shuang was shocked. He immediately stopped in midair. Who? The 4 demigods flew over together. Greetings, everyone. Dongbua Shuang bowed respectfully. You don't have to be so polite. Snow Eagle, you have really given us old fellows a shock. Faction head Si Kong Yang smiled, his eyes filled with expectations. At that moment, Shuang felt awkward and uncomfortable. How long had it been? It should have been close to 15 years. The faction head had never given him a good attitude. It was only during the early days that he became amiable. Dongbua Shuang, Infernal Palace Lord Shun asked from the side, have you grasped hold of the embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning? At that moment, Qiu Qi Bai, Si Kong Yang, and Gong Yu all stared at Dongbua Shuang. Dongbua Shuang was startled. The Infernal Palace treasure spirit definitely knew about his battle. This Palace Lord Shun probably knew about the general situation as well. It's an embryonic form of a true meaning that has never been recorded in the history of the Xia people. Dongbua Shuang was very clear about when he should be high profile and when he should be low key. It was fine for him to use his full strength in the transcendent battle of life and death. But a grade 2 true meaning, there was only one in the entire history of the Xia people. He had grasped hold of the embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning at such a young age. Would the Beast Clan and Demonic Faction not target him? I'm not sure what grade it is. I've named it True Meaning of Piercing. Dongbua Shuang introduced. When he displayed it, he could faintly sense the existence of extremity. Thus, Dongbua Shuang knew that this was a branch of the true meaning of extremity. He named it True Meaning of Extreme Piercing. Just from its appearance, it was hard to judge. After all, nobody had seen it before. True Meaning of Piercing. Qiu Qi Bai nodded in agreement. Amen. It is indeed an embryonic form of a true meaning with terrifying piercing power. This name is indeed suitable. Si Kong Yang agreed. Can you demonstrate it one more time? Palace Lord Chen asked. Dongbua Shuang hesitated. He wanted to keep a low profile, but Palace Lord Chen's status was special. He was also absolutely loyal to the Xia people. Since he had opened his mouth, demonstrate it one more time. Everyone here is trustworthy, Qiu Qi Bai said. Furthermore, the moment it was confirmed that this was an embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning, Palace Lord Shan would bestow some true treasures to the Xia people. At that time, Dongbua Shui Ying's survival would definitely not be a problem. All right, Dongbua Shui Ying did not decline anymore. He extended his finger and lightly pierced through the void in front of him. Hua hua hua, layer after layer of space was pierced through. Every energy in the world, including time, was like a wave that avoided it. Everything was pierced through, and even the flow of time was affected. Qi Qiu Bai, Palace Lord Chun, Si Kong Yang, and Gong Yu were all mesmerized by this simple demonstration. They could feel the profound mysteries contained within. All energy can be pierced through. Qi Qiu Bai muttered, "It seems like all the profound mysteries that I can sense have been pierced through. No wonder I can't see any injuries." This kind of piercing through using the laws of profound mysteries makes even the size of space meaningless. An embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning. Si Kong Yang was slightly excited. This true meaning of piercing is able to pierce through everything. It's even more tyrannical than Eternal Wind's true meaning of void cleavage. Amen. Palace Lord Chun was originally inclined towards a grade 2 true meaning. At this moment, after seeing the demonstration, he no longer had any doubts. Even though they did not know much about the legendary grade 1 and grade 2 true meanings in the deity world, they still had the right to speak about grade 3 true meanings. But when it came to a grade 3 true meaning, they still had the right to speak about it. They had personally witnessed how powerful a grade 3 true meaning was. The embryonic form of the true meaning of piercing was already so frightening. It definitely surpassed a grade 3 true meaning. He has the qualifications to obtain all these. Palace Lord Chun no longer had any doubts. Palace Lord Chun extended his hand, causing the void beside him to distort. Immediately, 2 items appeared from the distorted void. Chapter 159. Dongbua Shui Ying stared blankly at the scene in front of him. Teleportation through the void to retrieve items? 2 items appeared from the distorted void. With a glance, Shui Ying could tell that one of them was a ring filled with vitality. Looking at that ring, it was as if he could see an endless amount of life energy. He could see grass growing from the ground and mountain rocks, and he could see countless trees uprooting from the ground. This feeling of life energy had affected Shui Ying's emotions. So powerful. Every single item can affect my heart and soul. Dongbua Shui Ying was inwardly shocked. He then looked at the other item. The other item was a greenish-gray wristband that looked ordinary. If it was thrown into the trash, Dongbua Shui Ying would not notice anything special about it. Dongbua Shui Ying. Palace Lord Chun extended his hand to grab these 2 items, smiling. Ever since the birth of our Xia people, there has only been one person who has grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning. You will be the second in our Xia people's history. When that time comes, you will stand above all other demigods, truly unparalleled. Those transcendent worlds where the beast clan hides and hides, you will be able to sweep through them. It was just like how some of the humans' trump cards were hidden in the transcendent worlds. The true treasures of the beast clan were also hidden in the transcendent worlds. That was because deities could not enter the transcendent worlds. It was very safe there. The native transcendents and the beast clan will suffer a huge blow to their vitality. I'm afraid that they will not be able to recover even after tens of thousands of years. Palace Lord Chun smiled. Our Xia people will welcome even better opportunities, giving us an even greater advantage. As this advantage continues to accumulate, there will be a day when the beast clan will be completely exiled by us. This mortal world will truly become a paradise for us Xia people. Dongbua Shui Ying nodded. This was what the transcendence of every generation of the Xia people had been chasing after. The struggle for survival did not allow for any mercy. If the humans retreated, the beast clan would advance. Both sides had always been fighting, and the resources within the transcendent worlds were also fought over by both sides. Due to the strength of the Xia people, the relationship between the transcendent natives and the beast clan was closer. The secret of you grasping the embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning is only known by us four demigods. Palace Lord Chen said, "You must not leak this information to anyone else. The most you can do is say that you have grasped hold of the embryonic form of a grade 3 true meaning. After all, no matter how powerful a genius is, if he is not fully matured, he will still be very weak and can be easily killed. Only when you have truly grasped hold of a grade 2 true meaning will you have the confidence to deal with those demigods." Understood. Dongbua Shuang nodded. Of course, no matter how careful we are, the secret could still be leaked. Palace Lord Chun continued. Therefore, we must plan for two options. These two treasures were left behind by the ancestors of the Xia people who became gods. Dongbua Shui Ying's eyes lit up. This ring is a protective treasure refined by the Purple Thunder Emperor after he became a god. Palace Lord Chun said, "As long as you drip a drop of blood on it, you can control it. When you meet with danger, you can activate it with just a thought. It will immediately form a purple lightning barrier around your body, filled with endless life force. It is comparable to a full-powered attack from the Purple Thunder Emperor. If the demigods want to destroy this purple lightning barrier, they will need the time taken to brew a cup of tea. However, once the energy contained within it is exhausted, it will become useless. Thus, it is a one-time use item." Dongbua Shuang sighed in admiration. The Purple Thunder Emperor? Wasn't that the Purple Thunder Emperor, Yao Qingtian, who took it upon himself to save lives? The true meaning of Purple Thunder he cultivated was a combination of lightning and life force, a grade 3 true meaning. Becoming a deity with a grade 3 true meaning was already extremely powerful. His all-out protection was indeed enough to make demigods despair. It was normal for them to use all their strength to attack crazily for the time taken to brew a cup of tea. However, this item needs to be activated with a thought. "We are worried that you will be attacked and will not be able to react in time," Palace Lord Chen said. "Thus, we still have another clan protection treasure." Clan protection treasure? Dongbua Shuang looked at the seemingly ordinary green-gray bracelet. "This is a unique treasure sent back from the deity world by Emperor Yinhai." Palace Lord Chun said, "This bracelet may seem ordinary, but as long as you drip a drop of blood on it, it will recognize you as its owner. It is quite intelligent, and the moment you meet with danger, it will automatically protect you. Don't worry, it is extremely powerful. All sorts of sinister and strange attacks from demigods will not escape its detection. The moment danger appears, it will immediately protect you." Dongbua Shuang felt quite touched. He had displayed his potential, and the Xia people were still putting in a lot of effort to nurture him. Although the ring left behind by the Purple Thunder Emperor was precious, it was still acceptable. As for the seemingly ordinary bracelet, it was known as the Clan Protection Treasure. "Accepted." Palace Lord Chen smiled. "All right." Dongbua Shuang did not reject it. He understood it himself. The more benefits he received from the Xia people, the more responsibilities he had to bear. Towards this, Dongbua Shuang did not back down. Very quickly, he dripped his blood on it and recognized it as its owner. Dongbua Shuang could still sense and control the ring, but the green-gray bracelet seemed to be unwilling to communicate with Dongbua Shuang. This was normal. One must know that Dongbua Shuang was only a sky-rank transcendent. His transcendent battle chi was unable to activate a demigod equipment. A sky-rank transcendent could only activate a saint-rank weapon at most. A saint-rank transcendent could only activate a demigod equipment at most. Only demigods could use demigod equipment. Thus, a unique treasure that could protect a sky-rank transcendent was extremely rare. Only the Xia people had a deep foundation. If it was the demonic beast clan, they would not be able to casually give away two such precious treasures. All right, Snow Eagle, with your current strength, you might even be able to challenge the 100 Battles Chamber. Chi Chiobai smiled. When do you intend to challenge it? That's right. You have cultivated for less than 60 years. The moment you clear the 100 Battles Chamber, the rewards will be extremely high. Si Kong Yang's eyes lit up. 100 Battles Chamber. If a sky-rank transcendent under 60 years old could clear the 100 battles chamber, the reward would be 100,000 contribution points. This was because the difficulty of the 100 battles chamber was comparable to the mountain road. To be able to complete it before 60 years old, how monstrous must one be? How talented must one be? After 3,000 years of cultivation, how powerful must one be? It was normal to give such a reward. In the past 100,000 years, no one from the Xia people had managed to do it. Dongbua Shuiying was very young, and his strength was almost sufficient. There was indeed hope for him to do it. There's no rush. Dongbua Shuiying smiled. The 100 battles chamber can only be attempted once every 10 years. Before 60 years old, I only have one chance left. Naturally, the more confident I am, the better. I am prepared to cultivate for a while longer before attempting it. Calm enough. That's right. You can only attempt it once every 10 years. You have to be careful. Qi Qiubai said. Even if you succeed in the future, there's no need to announce it. It's better to keep it a secret. Palace Lord Qin said. I will also ask the weapon spirit to pay attention and conceal your battle movements. And Dongbua Shuiying could feel Palace Lord Qin's concern for him. After all, passing the 100 battles chamber before 60 years old was a very eye-catching feat. It was obvious that Palace Lord Qin wanted Dongbua Shuiying to keep a low profile. Only when he grasped the true meaning would it be suitable for him to reveal his true strength. Time continued to flow like water, slipping away quietly. No one could nitpick on Dongbua Shuiying's current cultivation. He could continue to immerse himself in his spear arts. Jing Xiu was also very happy to accompany him. Although Sidu Hong was rather unhappy, he could only suppress it in his heart. The other transcendents of the Scarlet Cloud Mountain were also stimulated and worked even harder. The days of the transcendents of the Xia people were very orderly. Some of the Sky Realm transcendents continued to accept life and death missions in the infernal world to train themselves. Some had already given up and returned to their hometowns in despair. As for the Saint Realm transcendents, they formed groups and ventured into the mysterious, small, transcendent worlds. They risked their lives and fought for transcendent resources. The demigod overlords oversaw the various places and protected the safety of the Xia people. At the same time, they were also cultivating in seclusion to become gods. However, these peaceful days, on a day in the winter of Dragon Mountain calendar year 9661, it was completely broken. South Zither province, a fertile province. In the sky above a nameless mountain peak in the South Qin province, a deep and unfathomable force was transmitted from afar, forcefully tearing apart the space of the material world. Not only the material space and the shadow space's membrane walls, even the outermost membrane walls were completely penetrated. An ugly and malevolent deep crack was formed. On the other side of the crack, it led to a world filled with the aura of destruction. Through the deep crack, one could faintly see the burning flames on the other side. This is a creature with a tail and fiery red scales crawled out from the deep crack, looking around cautiously. As a creature of the dark abyss, it had always been very cautious. It suddenly opened its dark yellow eyes wide, filled with shock. It took a deep breath, its entire body trembling with excitement. The aura of a human soul. This is the smell of a human soul. It's too delicious, too delicious. It actually brought me to the mortal world. It immediately split out a doppelganger and entered the deep crack to call for its companions. The mortal world was not so easy to conquer. It required sufficient companions. Soon, a large group of evil demons passed through the deep crack. All of them greedily looked at this foreign world, smelling the smell of humans everywhere in this world. All of them trembled with excitement. The environment of the dark abyss was too dangerous. Even the deities of the deity world feared it. Comparatively speaking, the mortal world was like a paradise in their dreams. Moreover, the souls of humans in the mortal world were the most delicious and the best nourishment for their growth. Hurry, This spatial crack has only formed for a short period of time. The mortal world is recovering and will not be able to hold on for much longer. Hurry! The evil demons were densely packed as they crazily entered the mortal world. The moment they entered the mortal world, they turned into streams of light and disappeared in all directions. Suddenly, space distorted. A human woman emitting a dazzling purple light appeared out of nowhere. When she saw the scene in front of her, her expression changed and she angrily shouted, "Evil demons! All of you die!" Boom! Countless dazzling purple flames covered the sky and swept in all directions. In an instant, some of the weaker evil demons were turned into ashes. Then, a tall evil demon whose entire body was ice blue reached out with his palm. After his palm struck out, the space around him started to freeze. The freezing spread out and directly collided with the endless purple flames. In an instant, the two forces sizzled and continuously consumed each other. It's a divine weapon. It's a human demigod transcendent. This mortal world is our hunting ground. However, we must be careful of the human transcendence here. Let's go. The tall evil demon resisted for a moment. Very quickly, he took a step forward and disappeared. At this moment, the deep spatial crack had already started to close up. Only a few evil demons were still crazily trying to enter the mortal world of the Xia people. Some were directly crushed by the closing spatial crack, letting out howls of unwillingness. Damn it, evil demons, die for me. The eyes of City Lord Bu, who was bathed in purple light, were filled with killing intent and anger. Countless purple flames surged in all directions, burning the slow, escaping evil demons to ashes. The surroundings were silent. However, even more powerful evil demons had already infiltrated the mortal world. This time, the spatial crack that led to the dark abyss is too big. There are too many evil demons here. Furthermore, the powerful evil demon that I fought just now was actually able to resist the might of a divine weapon. City Lord Bu, who was bathed in purple light, had an ashen expression. She did not dare to delay and immediately sent the news back to the infernal palace, informing all the demigods of the Xia people. End of this chapter. Has everyone cast their monthly votes? Please vote and support us. Chapter 160. Winter. On the third floor of an elegant restaurant in the Xia capital, there was a thick layer of snow, and cold air pervaded the air. But inside the restaurant, it was very warm. A pot of wine was being warmed. Dongbo Shui Ying and Jing Xiu sat opposite each other, drinking delicious fruit wine and casually chatting. There were other customers on the third floor, but their seats were quite far away from each other. Since the Transcendents knew each other, they would at most nod their heads to acknowledge each other, but not disturb each other. Dongbo Shui Ying and Jing Xiu clearly enjoyed such an environment. Jing Xiu, the temple head praised you yesterday, and your ranking has risen to 4th place. Dongbo Shui Ying praised, everyone says that transcendent mages improve slowly, but from what I see, your improvement is quite fast. Jing Xiu smiled happily and took a sip of her wine. Her lips curled into a proud smile as she said, "What's wrong? You're already ranked 1st, and you can't even tolerate others improving a little? That's not what I mean." Dongbo Shui Ying hurriedly said, "I'm just joking. To be honest, ever since you've been ranked 1st, I feel a lot more proud. My spell research has become much smoother, and I've had many breakthroughs." Jing Xiu laughed. "My mood and cultivation have been very smooth. Actually, I've long felt that they've been unfair to you. This time, they've finally cleared your name. You care too much about these superficial things." Dongbo Shui Ying shook his head. I was very unhappy when I heard the temple head reprimanding you." Jing Xiu shook her head, and then her eyes lit up. "Oh right, this time, you've slapped his face. When you completed the mountain path mission, when he saw you, his expression was very awkward, right? Was it very ugly? It's not what you think. Temple head Si Kongyang is also a magnanimous person. Previously, he only reprimanded me because he felt that I've gone astray. Dongbua Shuang said. As the two of them conversed, they used the heaven and earth energy to isolate themselves from detection. No one would deliberately eavesdrop on a conversation between transcendents. That would be very impolite and rash. Suddenly, the faces of the three transcendents at the table beside them turned pale with fright. One of them even stood up, causing the wine pot on the table to be flipped over and the wine spilled all over the floor. This caused the waiter on the third floor to hurry over. HM, Dongbua Shuang, Yu Jing Xiao, and the transcendents at the other table looked over in confusion. What's wrong with them? Jing Xiao was shocked. As transcendents, how could they lose their composure like this? They even spilled the wine. Look at how shocked the three of them are. Something big must have happened that is related to them. Dongbua Shuang held onto his wine glass calmly. Everyone, one of the three transcendents with disheveled hair, swept his gaze across the other two tables and shouted, Brother Dongbua, Brother Weian, do you know anything about the demon? What's wrong? Dongbua Shui Ying's table and the transcendents at the other table were all very curious. This majestic man was called Rong Jun. He was a saint transcendent and was quite famous in the Xia capital. It seems that everyone still doesn't know. Rong Jun said, I just received news that my hometown, Kangan County in Eastfield Province, the entire county has been massacred. What? Dongbua Shuang, Yu Jing Xiao, and the other two transcendents at the other table all stood up in shock. An entire county had been massacred? County cities had a long history and many defenses. At the same time, there were tens of millions of people living here. An entire county had been massacred? This was simply a shocking matter. Not a single transcendent would dare to do such a thing. Even the beast race, unless both sides were engaged in a life and death war, they would not dare to do such a thing. The moment they did such a thing, it would infuriate the Xia people. The Xia people would not hesitate to pay any price for their revenge. How is this possible? Who would dare to do such a thing? Dongbua Shui Ying asked. Brother Rong Jun, did you just say demon? Could it be the demon? But how long has it been since an abyss demon has appeared? Even if there are demons lurking around, they wouldn't dare to do such a thing. That's right, Brother Rong Jun. Even though I heard that there are a few abyss demons lurking around, they're all extremely careful. How would they dare to show themselves? Another transcendent, Weian, could not help but say, I'm not sure either. Rong Jun said, but I can confirm that it was an extremely powerful demon that wantonly massacred. Also, a demigod from the Xia people arrived and engaged in a huge battle. The commotion caused by the battle was extremely huge, and the aura of the demon covered the entire sky. Even from far away, one could feel the terrifying aura of the dark and destructive devil. I'm not too sure about the details, but when some of my clan subordinates followed the commotion and headed to the city to investigate, they discovered that the entire city was deathly silent. Countless corpses lay there, and although they did not have any wounds, they were all dead. No wounds. The faces of Dongbua, Shui Ying, and the rest changed. To cause a city with a population of over 10 million to die without any wounds on their bodies, such a method was simply unheard of. Amongst the demigods, there might be a handful who could do such a thing, but they would never dare to do such a thing. What exactly happened? Jing Xiao could not help but ask, why would such a powerful demon appear? The demigods of the Xia people are overseeing the various regions. Why would they allow the demons to massacre an entire city? Let's ask Big Brother Eternal Wind. Jing Qiu said. Yes, he should know more. Dongbua Shui Ying immediately asked Qi Qiu through his communication wristband. It was not only Dongbua Shui Ying and the rest. At this moment, many of the transcendents in the Xia capital had received all sorts of news from their hometowns. This was because the transcendents and their own clans could communicate through their communication wristbands. There are all sorts of news. For example, there were some earth-shattering battles. The commotion was so great that it could destroy the heavens and the earth. Another example was the discovery of a few demons from the abyss who wantonly massacred them, only to be killed by a powerful transcendent who rushed over. For a county to be massacred, such a thing was extremely rare. After all, the defenses of the county were very strong. Furthermore, the area it covered was very large. How vast was the area where 10 million people lived? To exterminate 10 million people in such a short period of time, only the most powerful of demons would be able to do so. What exactly happened? Why are there so many traces of demons? Why are the demigod elders not saying a single word about it? The transcendents in the Xia capital were all gathered together, exchanging information. However, they knew very little. They could only make some deductions based on small clues. On the top floor of a restaurant, the entire top floor had been booked. A group of transcendents from the Tranquil Sun province were gathered here. All of them were anxious and uneasy. Because it was not a special day, Hai Ruzhun, Peng Shan, and a few other transcendents were temporarily at their hometowns. Everyone, don't be anxious. Dongbua Shui Ying spoke. Now, that Qiqiu Bai and Peng Shan were not around. He had temporarily become the leader. Big Brother Eternal Wind also sent us a message, telling us not to be anxious and to wait. I believe there will be news very soon. I don't know what happened either. It should be the invasion of the demons. I wonder what level of invasion they are at. Sigh. These transcendents were extremely uneasy. From the information they gathered, the traces of the demons had appeared in almost every corner of the Dragon Mountain Empire of the Xia people. The battles were also very intense. Clearly, the demons that were heading towards the Dragon Mountain Empire were those powerful demigod overlords who could easily traverse through space. Chapter 1. Chapter 2 was coming soon. Chapter 161. Although they were anxious, all the transcendents waited patiently. This was because they knew that the demigod overlords were currently fighting to protect the Xia people. Who would have thought that a demon invasion would occur in our era? Yuan Qing could not help but exclaim. Since ancient times, demon invasions have occurred frequently in our Xia people. Dongbua Shuiying said, "The darkness abyss is where all darkness and negative energy converge. It is able to connect to countless material worlds. Occasionally, a spatial ripple would allow the Xia people to connect to the darkness abyss for a short period of time. I wonder how large the spatial passageway will be this time." Yes, Chengling Shu was also worried. From the information we have received, it should be a rather serious demon invasion. There were different levels of demon invasion. In the history of the Xia people, the largest demon invasion ever occurred. That time, there were more than 300 demigod demons. The humans and beasts of the Xia people's world were all massacred. Only a few were moved into the infernal realm. Even the infernal realm was attacked by the demons. Humans could only defend passively. That was an extremely tragic time. As time passed, some of the demons managed to leave, while others died of old age. After all, it was extremely difficult for them to reproduce in the mortal world. Humans, on the other hand, continued to reproduce and pass on their inheritance. Only then did the balance of power between the two sides change. Only then did the humans counterattack and reclaim their homeland. However, that was something that happened 90,000 years later. Of course, such a destructive demon invasion had only occurred twice in the history of the Xia people. The first one lasted 90,000 years, and the other one lasted 30,000 years. As for the others, most of them were small-scale. They came from some inconspicuous crack in space, where a few demons managed to enter. To the Xia people, the impact was negligible. According to the statistics, there have been 3 massacres in a short period of time. Jing Qiu said, "The scale this time is slightly larger." AI, how hateful. Zone 2 said unwillingly, "How hateful that we are too weak. If not, we would have been able to kill all these damn demons." Dongbua Shuiying was also feeling anxious. However, the infernal realm had been temporarily sealed, forbidding all transcendents from leaving. They could only wait for the infernal palace's orders. The sky gradually darkened. The cold air became even heavier. Shui Ying and the others were all silently enduring and waiting. Actually, Shuing was very worried about his family. Now that the demons were wantonly attacking the various places, Were his parents and little brother still doing well? Dongboi Shui Ying could not save them, so he could only ask them to stay at a remote place at the foot of the mountain through his communication bracelet. Dongboi Shui Ying suddenly froze. Chengling Shu, Jing Xiu, Zone 2, Yuan Qing, and the rest all hurriedly checked their communication wristbands. A message was sent to each of them. This news came from the Infernal Palace. Now is the time of war. Just as everyone expected, the abyssal demons have already invaded, but the scale of their invasion cannot be determined for now. Now, there are two things that all transcendents must remember. First, you can only enter the infernal world, but not leave. All transcendents below the demigod level must stay in the infernal world and await further orders. Second, all the important family members of the transcendents, the demigods of the Xia people, can help to migrate them to the infernal world. All transcendents, please send the names of your family members to me within 2 hours. Remember, every transcendent cannot have more than 10 mortal family members. The message was very simple. It made all the transcendents feel pressured. Migrating family members was relatively easy. For example, a province would usually only have around 10 transcendents. A demigod overlord could travel through the void to bring back some of his family members. Sending the family members of 10 transcendents to the infernal world was an extremely fast task. Dongboi Shui Ying and the rest did not dare to hesitate as they hurriedly contacted their family members. Every transcendent only had 10 slots. The main reason was that the clans of those transcendents who had lived for hundreds and thousands of years were extremely large. If there was no limit to the number of slots, a transcendent might be able to bring a few hundred to 1,000 people to their clan. Father, mother, I have temporarily decided on you, little brother, Uncle Zong and Uncle Tong. A total of 10 slots. If there are other requests, inform me immediately. Dongboi Shui Ying transmitted the message to his family members. Very quickly, the name list was finalized. Father, mother, and Uncle Zong did not have any requests. Uncle Tong, on the other hand, wished to bring his wife and child. Little brother Qing Shi was currently in the Eternal Wind Academy. He also made a request. If there were any empty slots, he had 3 companions that he wished to bring into the infernal world. With regards to this, Dongboi Shui Ying did not reject. After all, there were exactly 10 slots. Very quickly, the name list was finalized and sent to the Infernal Palace. The Xia capital was destined to be a chaotic night. The transcendents gathered everywhere. All of them were anxious, but they could only wait. This was because they were very clear a peak demigod overlord with a deity weapon could easily wipe out all of their Sky Realm and Saint Realm transcendents. They could not help much. No matter how unwilling they were, they could only obediently wait. Demigods were the true backbone of the Xia people. At this moment, it was completely reflected. Powerful demigods were not only strong, they could easily travel through the void. They are here. Some family members have arrived. Following the arrival of the first batch of family members, the transcendents hurriedly went forward to welcome them as they arrived at the world gate. Dongboi Shui Ying, Jing Xiu, and the rest stood in midair, looking at the world gate on a distant mountain. Currently, there were a few family members entering the infernal world through the world gate. They waited patiently. Occasionally, the family members of the transcendent from a province would be sent over together. The Tranquil Sun province is here. Dongboi Shui Ying, Jing Xiu, Yuan Qing, Chengling Shu, and the rest were all shocked. A group of figures could be seen passing through the world gate. Mother, Jing Xiu immediately flew over to welcome the Yu family. Dongboi Shui Ying's eyes suddenly lit up. He saw his family members within the group. A rather sturdy man and a purple-robed lady walked over shoulder to shoulder. Beside them, there was a 6-armed serpent demon and a lion man's family. On the other side, there was the extremely handsome Qing Shi and his companions. There were 2 female companions and 1 male companion. Big brother, Qing Shi shouted loudly. Snow Eagle, his mother, Imo Yang Yu, also smiled and shouted. She wasn't happy because she was able to escape. In truth, although there were many demons, the world of the Xia people was too vast. Those who actually met demons were extremely few. In fact, Mo Yang and the rest lived in the remote territory of the Snow Eagle. Qing Shi also lived in the Eternal Wind Academy. They had yet to feel the threat of the demons. They were even happier to see Dongbua Shuang. After all, it had been a long time since they last met. Dongbua Shuang was in an extremely good mood when he saw these extremely important family members. With a single glance, he discovered that his little brother Qing Shi seemed to have a very close relationship with one of the female companions. Who? Dongbua Shuang immediately flew over to welcome his family members. Chapter 7. The first appearance of greatness begins. Chapter 162. Dongbua Shuang and many other transcendents were not in a good mood after knowing that a demon had descended upon the human world. However, at this moment, after receiving his loved ones, he could not suppress the joy in his heart. That mansion is my residence in the Xia capital. Dongbua Shuang brought his parents and a group of people along as they flew through the air. Using the energy of heaven and earth, Dongbua Shuang pointed towards the mansion. It's quite big. It feels even more exquisite than our Snow Rock Castle. Snow Eagle, don't you feel empty living in such a big mansion by yourself? Mo Yang looked at the mansion curiously. Mother, Qing Shi shouted from the side. I heard that the mansions of the Transcendents in the Xia capital all have a large group of servants. With so many servants, naturally it won't feel empty. As he said this, Qing Shi looked at the majestic city in front of him curiously. This was the core and most important city of the Xia people. Not only was Qing Shi curious, but his other family members were also very curious. This was because they had never been to the Xia capital before. However, due to the extraordinary status of Dongbua's family, they knew that the Xia capital was special. Almost half of the transcendents of the Xia people were gathered here. There was even a large group of legend powerhouses here. Let's go down. Dongbua Shuang brought his family members and flew downwards, landing in front of the main entrance of his mansion. The main entrance of the mansion was wide open, and there was a large group of guards by the side. Housekeeper Su Qin had already brought a large group of maids and maids to wait respectfully at the main entrance. Greetings, master. Su Qin opened her mouth, and all the maids and maids shouted in unison. There's so many of them, at least 1,000. Qing Shi's eyes widened. They're all maids and maids. A young lady beside Qing Shi laughed softly. Qing Shi's other pair of companions were similarly shocked. Not to mention the others, even Dongbua Lai and Mo Yang were shocked. With a single glance, they could tell that housekeeper Su Qin and a large group of maids and maids were all above average in terms of appearance. Some of them were extremely beautiful, and all of them were well-behaved. Unlike Snow Rock Castle, which still had some rough and clumsy maids. It's all arranged by the Infernal Palace. Dongbua Shuang laughed. Come on in. Su Qin, go and make arrangements for the banquet. Yes, master. Housekeeper Su Qin replied respectfully. Back then, she had thought that her master would do something to her, but after more than 20 years, it was clear that she had been wrong. However, she also liked this kind of peaceful life. Night. In the main hall of the mansion, everyone had a table in front of them, and they all sat cross-legged. The seating arrangement was also relatively casual, and there was no distinction of seniority. Brother, your life is too comfortable. There's so many beautiful women serving you, and the food is so good. Wow, my tongue is almost in my stomach. I haven't eaten so much good food in all these years. Qing Shi gobbled down the food, but the young girlfriend beside him was more restrained. The other couple also ate very politely. After all, they were only able to come to the Xia capital because of Qing Shi. Furthermore, they felt pressured in front of a transcendent. Qing Shi is right. Lion Man Tong Sen laughed. These delicacies are indeed delicious. More than half of the transcendents are gathered in the Xia capital. Therefore, all kinds of precious ingredients are sent to the Xia capital. Donghua Shuang laughed as he explained. Because this was the first time his family had come here, they had already spent 1 caddy of origin stones on this meal. How could it not be delicious? However, because his family would be staying here for a long period of time, such extravagant eating was only done occasionally. Even demigods would not be so extravagant if they ate like this every day. This meal made all of their stomachs bloated. Donghua Lai, who had long eaten his fill, took a sip of wine and said, "Snow Eagle, this time, how much do you know about the demons entering our Xia people's world?" Immediately, everyone quietened down. The situation might be more serious. Donghua Shuang frowned. "I'm afraid that this matter will not be resolved in a short period of time." He had read too many scrolls. After reading them and combining them with the information he already knew, he could roughly deduce the situation. Not resolved in a short period of time? How long is this short period of time? Donghua Lai hurriedly asked. It might not be resolved in 100 years. The moment Donghua Shuang said this, everyone present felt their hearts sink. The threat of the demons. They actually could not resolve it in 100 years? You guys don't have to worry too much. Just like this time, the invasion caused a huge commotion. However, you guys did not meet any demons, right? Donghua Shuang laughed. The more time passes, the more the demons will keep a low profile. If you guys want to meet a demon, it will be extremely difficult. Ultimately, it will still be up to the Transcendents to resolve the issue with the demons. The clash between the Transcendents and the demons. Occasionally, some mortals would be affected. However, compared to the vast Xia people's world, it was not worth a mention. The situation of the mortals could be controlled. However, the Transcendents were the ones who suffered the most. This was because they had to withstand the demons. If they did not, who would? In the following days, the Transcendents in the Xia capital received news through various channels. Evidently, the battle between the demigod overlords and the abyss demons was extremely intense. Battle after battle. This was because the humans who participated in the battle were all demigod existences. Many of them even had deity weapons. Furthermore, they could help each other. Thus, they were usually only injured, and the number of casualties was extremely low. Of course, it was just extremely low. They still existed. Dragon Mountain Calendar, year 9662, March. The human demigod Grey Swan Knight Pang Bai died in battle. The moment the news spread, all the Transcendents in the Xia capital were shocked and grieved. Grey Swan Knight Pang Bai did not even manage to hold on for a breath's time. He did not even manage to hold on until the other demigods came to rescue him before he was killed by a demon called Tu Lu Wu. Of course, this demon, Tu Lu Wu, died 2 months later. In the sky above the Red Moon Lake, he was chased by Mountain Lord He. In a single battle, the entire Red Moon Lake was destroyed. Mountain Lord He suppressed this demon, and Old Granny Yi also rushed over to help. With the two of them working together, they killed the demon Tu Lu Wu in a short period of time. Dragon Mountain Calendar, year 9662, August. Another human demigod, Fierce Blood Knight, Liang Fong, died in battle. Liang Fong's combat power was much stronger than that of Grey Swan Knight. He was in existence close to the top 10 in the demigod rankings. His true meaning of fierce blood was a grade 4 true meaning, making him extremely valiant and ruthless. However, he was killed by the most powerful demon in this invasion, the Frost Demon, Sokka. Even though Eternal Wind Knight, Qiu Qi Bai, and Thunder God Chao Qing were the last to arrive, this Frost Demon Sokka did not fight them and quickly escaped. His ability to escape was also extremely formidable. As time continued, the Transcendents in the Xia capital gradually learned more information. At the very least, the information regarding the peak demigod demons became more and more detailed. Even though the humans lost 2 demigods in battle, this was still the territory of the humans. Furthermore, there were many powerful deity weapons and even race protecting deity weapons. There were even more demons who died in battle. Until September, year 9662, a total of 9 demigod demons were killed by the humans. The foundation of the Xia people was undoubtedly revealed. However, the remaining demigod demons had also learned their lesson. The demigod demons who could survive after being surrounded and trapped time and time again were either extremely powerful, had unique methods, or were extremely cunning. In short, after September, year 9662, the Xia people gradually found it hard to find any traces of demigod demons. Chapter 163. Scarlet Cloud Mountain World, Soaring Cloud Peak. The peak of Soaring Cloud Peak was extremely quiet. Looking at the vast mountain range in the distance, Dongbua Shui Ying's heart was exceptionally calm. Many transcendents were in restaurants and taverns, gathering all sorts of news and discussing the battles between the human demigods and the demons. But Dongbua Shui Ying was too lazy to care about this. Would discussing too much help the war? Nope. Thus, he temporarily threw everything to the back of his mind and focused on his spear techniques. As the spear flew, its power was vast and mighty. Dongbua Shui Ying practiced his spear very slowly. As the spear rotated, it was like a huge whirlpool of waves, as if all attacks would be absorbed by this whirlpool. The true meaning of extreme piercing is a purely offensive true meaning. It is not suitable for defense. Using the three profound mysteries of water, fire, and wind to defend, it is still lacking. Dongbua Shui Ying pondered. The perfect combination of the three profound mysteries of water, fire, and wind was the grade 2 true meaning of extreme piercing. It was weaker in other aspects. For example, regarding illusions, it was only the embryonic form of the grade 3 true meaning of illusions. As for defense, it had not even formed the embryonic form of the true meaning of illusions. Clearly, water, fire, and wind were more suitable for offense and were lacking in defense. Offense and defense are the most basic. Dongbua Shui Ying frowned. With just extreme piercing alone, the flaws in my spear techniques are too obvious. Suddenly, Dongbua Shui Ying stopped his spear techniques because he had received a message through his communication wristband. The Infernal Palace had gathered all transcendents for a transcendent meeting. They were asking everyone to hurry to the Infernal Palace's main hall. Transcendent meeting? Senior Brother Snow Eagle, why do you think the Infernal Palace suddenly gathered all transcendents for a meeting? Jing Xiu had also received the news. She had been accompanying Dongbua Shui Ying by his side. Dongbua Shui Ying practiced his spear techniques while she comprehended her spells. Dongbua Shui Ying laughed. What else could it be? Of course, it's related to the demons. If I'm not wrong, the Infernal Palace is about to give us a mission. Our peaceful days are about to come to an end. Us? Jing Xiu was surprised. We're going to fight too? All of us transcendents. Dongbua Shui Ying said. This is only my guess. Let's go. We'll know everything in a moment. Yes. Jing Xiu nodded thoughtfully. Following that, the two of them turned into streaks of light and flew towards the exit of the Scarlet Cloud Mountain World. Infernal Palace Main Hall, Northern Summer Palace. So south figures flew over from all directions and landed in front of the Northern Summer Palace before entering in 2s and 3s. The Great Hall was rather majestic, and the decorations inside were simple and unadorned, following the most ancient customs of the Xia people. In the main hall, currently, there were 8 figures seated cross-legged. The one in the middle was a black-haired old man. He was none other than the Palace Lord Chun of the Infernal Palace. There were a total of 7 demigods sitting cross-legged on both sides of him. The 8 of them were facing Dongbua Shui Ying and the other transcendents who had just entered the palace. Let's sit down quickly. Dongbua Shui Ying and Jing Xiu randomly chose a spot and sat cross-legged on a praying mat. Brother Snow Eagle, you've arrived. Big Brother Ping Shan, Jing Xiu, and I have just arrived. Dongbua Shui Ying saw Peng Shan, Chung Ling Shu, and Zong Tu sitting beside him. All the transcendents in the Great Hall entered one by one and sat cross-legged on a praying mat. They even secretly transmitted their voices to each other. After the time, taking to brew a cup of tea, Dongbua Shui Ying and the rest entered. Rumble. The gigantic palace doors slowly closed. All the transcendents solemnly looked at the 8 demigods sitting cross-legged in front of them. Everyone is here. The black-haired old man, Palace Lord Chun, said, I believe you've already guessed the reason why we've gathered all of you. Indeed, it's about the abyss demons. Ever since last winter, when a spatial tear connected to the dark abyss, the peaceful days of us Xia people came to an end. Large numbers of demons entered our homeland and wantonly massacred. Palace Lord Qin said, if they continue to act so wantonly, it would be a good thing. Us Xia people's demigods would be able to exterminate them all. However, demons have always been cruel and cunning. Initially, their greed for human souls caused them to act wantonly. But gradually, they learned their lesson and became more and more low-profile, hiding themselves deeper and deeper. At the beginning, we killed a lot of demons. Sometimes we could even kill a large number of them in one go. But as time went on, the number of demons we killed decreased. Until today, it's almost impossible to find another demon. They've all gone into hiding. Palace Lord Qin's eyes were filled with killing intent. According to our battle records, there are 3 demigod demons that we've fought with that are still alive. Furthermore, we suspect that there should be other demigod demons that we've never fought with. We've discovered some clues. These demons that we've never fought with before are extremely cunning and careful. Other than the demigod demons, there's still a large number of demons that are cunning and hiding. To demons, human souls are an astonishing nourishment. It's extremely beneficial for them to increase their strength. If we allow them to hide in various places and continue to devour human souls, demigod demons will also be born among those inferior demons. We must not allow them to devour human souls and allow them to grow stronger. But now we have too few demigods. It's already very difficult to find these demons that are hiding. Palace Lord Qin said, therefore, we need all of our transcendents to make sacrifices. All the transcendents of the Xia, people who were sitting cross-legged below, shuddered. Sacrifice? All of you transcendents are able to sense the heavens and earth. You are extremely sensitive to the fluctuations of all living things. Palace Lord Qin said, I need all of you to return to your hometowns. All of you will be scattered throughout the mortal world. You will travel everywhere and rely on your keen senses to search for traces of demons. The moment you discover a demon, report it immediately and a demigod will rush over. It's not just you. All the legend-ranked knights and mages will also be searching for traces of demons with their one with the world state. However, their realms are too low. They are far inferior to all of you. As transcendents, your realms are much higher than theirs. Your souls are also much stronger. Your senses towards all living things far surpass theirs. Your ability to search for traces of demons is thousands of times better than theirs. All of you will scatter and search for them. The moment the demons dare to devour human souls, they might be discovered by you. If you discover one, kill one. Perhaps, in the process of searching for the demons, you will also be attacked by the demons and die. Perhaps, the demons also have companions. They will also call for help. Even the demigod demons will appear. Regardless, we must kill these demons as soon as possible. The earlier the better. This time, there are many demons. Based on the number of demons, this war between humans and demons will probably last for thousands of years. Palace Lord Chun looked at all the transcendents of the Xia people. The transcendents of our generation are destined to make sacrifices. Among you, I'm afraid that many of you will die under the demon's retaliation. But if we transcendents cherish our lives and don't dare to go, then who will? A mortal? We must go. As the war continues, the ones who will emerge victorious will definitely be us, the Xia people. Palace Lord Qin's voice was resounding. All transcendents, from those pseudo-transcendents to those demigods, none of them retreated. All transcendents must participate in the battle. 3 months later, you will all leave the infernal realm and return to your hometowns. The infernal palace will also give out many missions and rewards. The resources that we, the Xia people, have accumulated over the generations will also be taken out in large amounts. There's only one goal: to kill all these demons. All the transcendents below were filled with killing intent. Kill. This was a war between humans and demons. If demons wanted to feed on human souls, then humans could only eradicate them all. Perhaps many of them would fall, but those who survived would continue to fight, because they were human transcendents. Other than the demons, we also need to be wary of the demonic faction. Palace Lord Chun said coldly. The demonic faction believes in the great demon god of the dark abyss. In history, they have often colluded with demons. Normally, it would be fine, but now, the moment they're discovered to be part of the demonic faction, they will be killed without mercy. Chapter 164. Kill without mercy. During times of peace, even though they disliked the demonic faction and felt that the transcendents who relied on the demonic faction were too selfish, they could only turn a blind eye to it. Only the temple of the earth god, who spread their faith, was actively pursuing the demonic faction. It was rumored that there were a few demons within the demonic faction who were struggling at death's door. However, those few demons were unable to cause any huge waves. But now it was completely different. A large demon army had infiltrated their homeland. With the demonic faction colluding with them, the threat of the demons would rapidly increase. Thus, the infernal palace of the Xia people also went all out to hunt down the demonic faction. There are strong and weak demons, Palace Lord Chun continued. When searching for demons, you must act according to your own strength. I will now send all the information that the Xia people have gathered regarding the demons to you. This information is the most detailed information that we have gathered over the past year through various methods. Because there are too many demons, we have already discovered over 6,000 demons, which is only a portion of the entire demon army. There are still many demons that we have yet to gather information on. You will have to act according to the circumstances. Below, Dongbo Shui Ying and the other transcendents felt a chill in their hearts. More than 6,000 demons have been found. The number of demons was truly huge. One must know that the demigods' tracking methods were very powerful. For example, they could directly search through the memories of the demon's soul. Even so, they could only obtain a portion of the information. A detailed report was sent to the hands of every transcendent of the Xia people. Dongbo Shui immediately used his consciousness to check this report. Abyssal demons. The Xia people were divided according to their combat strength. They were divided into the strongest demigod demons. Each of them had the combat strength of the top 10 demigods of the Xia people. Transcendents below the demigod level would flee if they could. They would definitely not resist. One must know that in the top 10 demigods, other than the transcendent natives, the few demigods from the human and beast clans all wielded deity weapons. In other words, the demigod-level demons that had been discovered alive were still alive and well under the pursuit of a human demigod with a divine weapon. It could be seen how tyrannical and terrifying they were. Grade 5 evil demons possess the combat prowess of the top 10 saints and saints. They are very powerful, and the ones who stand at the very top are even stronger than the current number 1 on the saints and saints ranking. Strength comparable to a demigod. Their numbers were extremely low, and they were a group of demons that had to be killed with all their might. Once they were allowed to devour human souls and obtain nourishment, they would have a high chance of becoming demigod demons over time. Grade 4 demons. Their battle prowess is between the top 30 and the top 10 of the saint rankings. They are relatively powerful, but there are relatively few of them. Demons of this level must be hunted down as much as possible, as they also have a chance of becoming demigod-level demons. Rank 3 demon. Saint-level transcendent power, very common among ordinary demons. Rank 2 evil demons. Early stage or middle stage of saint tier. They are considered to be relatively young evil demons. Rank 1 evil demons. The weakest of the evil demons. They're the most numerous, and their strength is comparable to the mid to peak sky realm. Ordinary peak sky realm transcendents can deal with them and even have a chance of killing them. Although they were the weakest, they were also the youngest and weakest. As time passed, they would also grow. They had to be eliminated as soon as possible, and the threat must be eliminated while it was still budding. Another reminder, demons are the transcendent life forms of the dark abyss. Their talents are even stronger than the ancient life forms of the Xia people's world. Their battle experience is formed in the cruel dark abyss. Some of their battle styles are within our understanding, but some are extremely strange. If you are careless, even if your strength is not inferior to the demons, you might still suffer a great loss or even lose your life. Below is a detailed list of the demons and their strength. More than 6,000 evil demons were densely packed and detailed introductions. Donghua Shui Ying's heart was heavy. This was only a portion of the demon army that had come to the Xia people's world. Moreover, this was their current strength. As time passed, the demons would also transform after devouring human souls in a mortal world that they dreamed of. Therefore, humans could not afford to wait. They had to eliminate every single demon as soon as possible. Even the strongest demigod demons had to be hunted down as soon as possible. If this demigod demon broke through and became a demonic god, then it would be a great calamity for the entire Xia people's world. Fortunately, just like how it was extremely difficult for human transcendence to advance from demigod to deity, the demon's breakthrough was also extremely difficult. In fact, it was even more difficult than a human's breakthrough. In the next 3 months, all of you must memorize all the information regarding these demons. After the time it took to drink a cup of tea, Palace Lord Chun spoke again. As for the rewards for discovering and killing demons, as well as the rewards for killing the transcendents of the demonic faction, the Infernal Palace is currently formulating it. Once it is finalized, we will inform all the transcendents. Other than making all the transcendents risk their lives for the sake of the survival of their race, they would also set the rewards. Those who contributed more would naturally receive more rewards. Those who were lazy and avoided danger would naturally not receive any rewards. This transcendence meeting was mainly for the Infernal Palace Lord Chun to pass down the orders. Rumble, the palace doors slowly opened. All the transcendents quickly flew out of the palace doors in groups of 2s and 3s, flying in all directions. 3 months. Donghua Shui Ying flew in the air, looking at the bustling Xia capital. After 3 months, the Xia capital will no longer be this bustling. At that time, all transcendents below demigod level and all legend rankers would have to leave the Xia capital and head towards the mortal world to search for traces of demons. Scarlet Cloud, Mountain World. After the transcendents meeting ended, Master Gong Yu also gathered the group of substitute elders of Scarlet Cloud Mountain. The demigods are all very busy. I have been staying in Scarlet Cloud Mountain World for the past year, only splitting out my Chi avatar to participate in the war. Master Gong Yu looked at the group of young transcendents in front of him. According to the orders of the Infernal Palace, in 3 months, all of you will leave the Xia capital and return to your hometowns. As for the resources that you all enjoy normally, my Infernal Palace will distribute them year by year. Each distribution will be a year's quota. Of course, once you become a Saint Transcendent, the distribution will stop. Master Gong Yu said, whether or not you want to become a Saint Transcendent, you can decide for yourselves. As soon as he finished, bang! Donghua Shuiying, Yuan Qing, Jing Xiao, Wen Yong En, and the rest all looked over in shock. Sidu Hong had a pleased look on his face. The aura on his body was currently undergoing transformation. An even more powerful aura was emitted from his body. Saint Rank. Everyone present was stunned. He broke through to Saint Rank. There was a clear difference between Saint Rank Transcendent and Sky Rank Transcendent Chi. The Transcendent Chi would undergo a qualitative transformation. This kind of Transcendent Chi would allow one's body and soul to undergo another evolution. The difference could be seen from one's lifespan, because after another evolution, a Saint Rank Transcendent would be able to live for 1,500 years. I have already nurtured it to my limit. Since the demons have arrived, we naturally cannot retreat. At this time, the stronger we are, the more demons we can kill, Sido Hong said with a smile. He had the bearing of a human hero. He was rather pleased with himself. See, breaking through Saint rank is as easy as drinking water. The reason why he was still flaunting at the last moment was because he had been too sullen recently. Dongbo Shueying was still ranked first and had even completed the Mountain Road Life and Death mission. All of this made Situ Hong very unhappy. At the last moment, he wanted to flaunt a little. He felt that Dongbo Shueying was so young. His nurturing of transcendent qi might not be complete yet. What a joke. Dongbo Shueying shook his head in his heart. Was there a need to be so anxious about breaking through? One must know that once a transcendent qi broke through, he still needed to nourish his body and soul. Normally, it would be done in one go under closed-door cultivation. Right now, Sidu Hong was breaking through first. After everyone had dispersed, he would probably go into closed-door cultivation to nourish his body and soul. This was too deliberate. He was too impatient. This Situ Hong was the most despicable person amongst the Scarlet Cloud Mountain's substitute elders. From the looks of it, he was also the weakest in terms of tempering his spirit. With such a weak spirit, he might not be able to withstand the soul pressure in the second section of the mountain road. Very good. Master Gong Yu smiled and nodded. That should be the case. All transcendents should do their best to kill the demons. But you don't have to be anxious, because today, we will be distributing a year's worth of resources. You can definitely break through tomorrow. Since you have already broken through and become a saint-rank transcendent, you will no longer be able to enjoy the resources. Sido Hong's face instantly froze. A year's worth of resources would be distributed today. He thought that he would be distributing a year's worth of resources after leaving the Xia capital. In just a day, a year's worth of resources would be gone. Dongboi Shueying and the other transcendents present were all laughing in their hearts. Seeing how you're flaunting, now you are dumbfounded. Chapter 165. Time passed day by day. As the 3-month deadline approached, the atmosphere in the Xia capital gradually changed. In the past, transcendents would accept a few life or death missions. But other than the 10 most basic life or death missions that every transcendent had to complete, it was normal for them to only accept a mission once every 3 to 5 years, or even 10 years. Moreover, they would only accept a mission when they felt that they needed to make a breakthrough in their state of mind, cultivation, and many other aspects. Ordinary days were leisurely and carefree. After all, life during times of peace was very relaxing. But now it was different. When they returned to their hometown, every transcendent would have to follow the Infernal Palace's plan to track down the demons. Although they could slack off and avoid danger, they still had to put on a front. Even if they couldn't find the demons, they could still sneak attack the human transcendents. Although there weren't many demigod demons, there were too many weaker demons. Transcendents, some were filled with battle intent and hunted down demons. But there were also those who were afraid of death. There are even some who were extremely selfish and relied on the demonic faction, colluding with demons and helping them. Night. The Xia capital's night was quite lively. Transcendents and legend rankers often met up. After all, once they left the Xia capital and returned to their hometown, the transcendents would rarely meet up. Many legend rankers might not even see each other in their lifetime. At this moment, a young man and woman were walking side by side. From their appearance, they seemed to be around 20 years old. Senior Brother Snow Eagle, Jing Xiao, said, "Are you planning to attempt the 100 Battles Chamber tomorrow?" "Yes, before I leave, I must attempt it once. If I succeed, I will be able to obtain sufficient resources. I can also exchange for some transcendent weapons, powerful arrays, etc. This will also make Snow Rock Castle safer." Dongboi Shuang said. He had already completed the Mountain Road mission, so the chances of completing the 100 Battles Chamber were still very high. Senior Brother Snow Eagle, you have cultivated for less than 60 years. If you succeed, the contribution points you will obtain will be very shocking. Jing Xiao said with some anticipation, I believe that your Snow Rock Castle will be one of the safest places in the entire Tranquil Sun Province. I wonder if Senior Brother Snow Eagle will allow me to stay there? Haha, of course it's allowed. Jing Xiao, you are such a powerful, transcendent great mage. Even if I wanted to, I wouldn't be able to find you. With you around, it would be much easier to set up those powerful arrays. Dongbua Shuang said. Then it's a deal. Jing Xiao's eyes narrowed into a smile. It's a deal. Dongbua Shuang also felt warmth in his heart. The war with the demons might last a long time, but at least they could be together, and that was enough. Senior Apprentice Brother Snow Eagle, you've long since reached the third level of the realms of myriad existences in the profound mysteries of water and fire. Your transcendent Doqi should have been nurtured to perfection as well, right? Jing Qiu asked. I'm already at the peak. I can break through to the martial saint tier at any time. Dongbua Shuang said. These words were enough to make many Sky Realm transcendents envious and jealous. But there was no other way. 16 years ago, the profound mysteries of water and fire were already at the third level. After many years of nurturing his transcendent Doqi, his fusion of water, fire, and wind all reached the third level, allowing him to grasp the embryonic form of the true meaning of illusions, greatly increasing the rate of nurturing his transcendent Doqi. After that, he even grasped the grade 2 embryonic form of the true meaning of extreme piercing, which greatly increased the rate of nurturing his transcendent Doqi. Half a year ago, his transcendent Doqi could already break through at any time. It was only because he was in the 100 Battles Chamber that he didn't dare to break through. After all, in order to obtain the 100,000 contribution points reward, he had to become a Sky Realm Transcendent before the age of 60. I knew it. Senior Apprentice Brother Snow Eagle, when are you preparing to break through? Jing Qiu smiled. I've tried the 100 Battles Chamber. Dongbua Shuang said. For the war with the demons, I have to increase my strength as much as possible. Hopefully, I'll succeed tomorrow. Those contribution points will be of great help to me. With 100,000 contribution points, only then would he be able to spend them wantonly. I'll definitely succeed. Jing Qiu was filled with confidence. On the second day, the sky brightened. Dongbua Shuang came to the Infernal Palace alone. Following the winding corridors, he quietly arrived at the 100 Battles Chamber. The moment his body touched the door, he entered the 100 Battles Chamber. Whoa! The scene in front of him changed. This was a huge and spacious secret room. In the distance, there were many humanoid statues. These statues were all about 2 meters tall, and each had a weapon. There was a spear, an axe, a chain, a staff, a scimitar, a sharp sword, a heavy hammer, a shield, and so on. Dongbua Shuang, please choose the weapon on the weapon rack by the side. Other than the storage treasures in the 100 Battles Chamber, you are not allowed to use any other transcendent items. The moment you use them, it will be considered as a failure. A voice resounded within the 100 Battles Chamber. Dongbua Shuang understood that this was the voice of the Infernal Palace's weapon spirit. Wah! Turning around, he walked towards the weapon rack by the side, only to see that Dongbua Shuang's boots had disappeared. Walking barefoot, the ground was really cold. As for the clothes he was wearing, he had already prepared them. Walking to the weapon rack, he waved his hand and kept everything into his storage treasure. At the crucial moment of the battle, he could use whatever weapon he wanted. I'll take this one. A silver spear appeared in Dongbua Shuang's hand. Slightly shaking it, he felt that the force was transmitted perfectly. Do, 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 do. A short and deep sound suddenly came from the human-shaped statues in the chamber. Every statue's eyes lit up, and a deep crimson glow could be seen in their eyes. The 100 transcendent human-shaped refiner organisms all stared at Dongbua Shuang. Some of them curled their lips, some snorted coldly, some laughed loudly, and some looked cold. Every transcendent refiner organism had their own thoughts. He's here. Another opponent has arrived. Brothers, let's go. Let's play slowly. Don't destroy him too quickly. The previous transcendent was defeated in a single move. Old 18, your hands were too heavy, and you almost smashed that transcendent into meat paste. Fortunately, half of his body was left behind, and that transcendent survived. These 100 refiner organisms all stared at Dongbua Shui Ying with excitement. Dongbua Shui Ying's body blurred, and then split into three figures. The three black-robed Dongbua Shui Ying stared at this group of refiner organisms at the same time. This battle involved a total of 100,000 contribution points. Dongbua Shui Ying naturally did not dare to be careless. Even though he had completed the Mountain Road mission and had a high chance of winning the 100 Battles Chamber, there were still some differences between the two. The Mountain Road mission was aimed at those substitute elders, and it had a higher requirement for the embryonic form of a true meaning. As for the 100 Battles Chamber, it was aimed at all transcendents. Some transcendents had grasped the complete true meaning, but it was only a grade 7 or grade 6 true meaning. Compared to those substitute elders who had only grasped the embryonic form of a true meaning, their combat styles were different. The higher the grade of the embryonic form of a true meaning, the more profound it would be. As for low-grade true meanings, even though they seemed mediocre, once they were complete, they would be very all-round in combat. I hope I don't die here, Dongbua Shui Ying thought. His eyes were filled with fighting spirit. Ah, he actually turned into 3. Interesting. This is interesting. Who cares if it's 3 or 10? Surround him. Suddenly, golden veins appeared on the surface of all the refiner organisms' bodies. In an instant, the veins on the bodies of the 100 refiner organisms emitted rays of light. The rays of light connected with each other, and a powerful array ripple spread throughout the entire 100 Battles Chamber. The aura of all the refiner organisms seemed to have become more powerful. Go! The 100 refiner organisms that were originally standing at different locations instantly turned into phantoms, covering the sky and covering the earth as they rushed over. Some were sticking close to the ground, some were attacking from the sides, and some were flying down from above. Their speed was extremely fast. In the blink of an eye, the 100 refiner organisms had all sorts of weapons in their hands. Some were lashing out with long rods, some were strangely slashing with scimitars, and some were ramming with shields. All sorts of weapons surrounded the 3 Dongbua Shui Yings. Chapter 166. The 3 Dongbua Shui Yings had 6 arms and 3 silver spears. The crimson eyes of these 100 refiner life forms flickered, but their attacks didn't change. They didn't care how many arms and spears Dongbua Shui Ying had. They only needed to work together and crush him. He could only see an overwhelming number of weapons closing in on him from all directions. For a moment, Shui Ying felt helpless, as if 2 fists could not fight against 4 hands. Pung pung. 2 of the doppelgangers were instantly destroyed. Shui Ying immediately swept his spear horizontally in response to the attacks coming from all directions. Pung pung pung. The spear wantonly swept across, clashing against the weapons of the transcendent life forms and forcing back 8 transcendent refiner life forms. But at this moment, there were a total of 18 of them attacking him from all directions. The spear in Dongbua Shui Ying's hands danced, sweeping with all his might, whipping, sending them flying. For a moment, the group of transcendent refiner life forms were swept away, slapped away, and sent flying. But there were a total of 100 transcendent refiner life forms in the surroundings. They charged forward wave after wave, and none of them suffered any damage. Even if they were swept away, they would continue to surround him. Too scary. The densely packed transcendent refiner life forms attacked crazily. Groups after groups of them were sent flying, and more rushed in. Dongbua Shui Ying was completely trapped in the center. At this moment, it was useless even if he split out his doppelgangers. These transcendent refiner life forms were only focused on him. No wonder it's so hard to win in the 100 Battles Chamber. Dongbua Shui Ying understood this point. Although I've comprehended the true meaning of extreme piercing, it's not suitable for me to face a siege. Extreme piercing. What was needed was piercing. Piercing. It wasn't necessary to use the true meaning of extreme piercing. The true meaning of extreme piercing could be used to smash, hack, and sweep. That was because extreme piercing was a piercing point. When the spear smashed out, the entire spear would be like an extreme point. It could similarly use the embryonic form of the true meaning of extreme piercing to smash the enemy to death. But this was not the right time. Since Dongbua Ying was currently facing a siege, what he needed was to be able to move his mind smoothly and smoothly. Therefore, his sweeping, flying, and other moves were more focused on the point of being continuous. Only in this way could he defend against the 18 transcendent alchemy creatures at the same time. As for extreme piercing, it was a unique move. A furious smash. It wasn't continuous and smooth. Instead, all of his moves transformed into a single point and smash forward. Very good. It might be able to break the surface defense of an extraordinary alchemical life form, and even knock away 3 to 5 extraordinary life forms behind it. However, the attacks of the other transcendent life forms would land on Dongbua Ying. The true meaning of extreme piercing was more suitable for one-on-one attacks. It was a point-penetrating attack. Dongbua Ying was deep in thought, but his hands did not stop moving. Large groups of transcendent alchemy creatures were constantly being sent flying. The spear technique was continuous and majestic. It was like a raging storm that could sweep through the heavens and earth. However, it was unable to break through the defense. The 100 transcendent alchemy creatures completely surrounded Dongbua Ying, making him look like a huge hemisphere. Dongbua Ying was at the core of this hemisphere. He did not dare to fly. Once he did, the area of space would be larger, and the number of transcendent alchemy creatures that could attack him at the same time would increase exponentially. Walking on the ground. No matter where he went, the transcendent alchemy creatures completely surrounded Dongbua Ying, surrounding him in 3 layers and attacking him with all their might. While Dongbua Ying was fighting, he was also thinking. My spear technique is clearly weaker in terms of defense. Although the embryonic true meaning of extreme piercing is powerful, it is not suitable for defense. It is also unable to allow my attack to be continuous. Dongbua Ying had always been thinking about how he should perfect his spear technique. A good spear technique should be able to flow smoothly, one move after another, and the power of each move could even be stacked. This way, the enemy would feel more pressure during a battle, allowing them to defeat the enemy. If it was just extreme piercing alone, and the chain of moves was lacking, then the moment extreme piercing failed, it would be out of moves. Extreme piercing can only be considered a pure offensive move. What I need is a complete spear technique. If my defense is perfect, then my attacks must be continuous as well. Both attack and defense must be perfect. Over the past year, I've been pondering for a long time. In terms of defense, the profound mysteries of water, fire, and wind are not suitable. In terms of offense, they can guarantee the power of extreme piercing, but they cannot guarantee a continuous attack. If I focus on the profound mysteries of wind and wind, then I will not be able to form extreme piercing. No matter how I ponder, the profound mysteries of water, fire, and wind are unable to satisfy my spear technique. Since that's the case, then I will have to seek external help. I need to fuse other profound mysteries into them so that my spear technique can be more perfect. Water, fire, and wind had already comprehended the embryonic form of the true meaning of extreme piercing and the embryonic form of the true meaning of illusions. This made Dongbua Ying very cautious. He did not dare to casually fuse other profound mysteries into water, fire, and wind. That was because he was worried about one thing. Water, fire, and wind could perfectly form the embryonic form of the true meaning of extreme piercing. If he were to add another profound mystery and destroy this balance, then his embryonic form of the true meaning of extreme piercing would be destroyed. This was a reason why Dongbua Ying was so cautious. He knew his own limits. wanting to comprehend a great one true meaning that was above all other true meanings in the countless worlds, and even the deity world, was an extremely difficult task. This was especially true after he had personally experienced extremity. He was very clear that comprehending extreme piercing was already considered quite lucky. Wanting to comprehend a great one true meaning that was on the same level as the true meaning of extreme piercing, the difficulty would be 10 to 100 times higher. But for more than a year, his spear techniques had stagnated. This was an obvious shortcoming that made him very uncomfortable. Ever since he was young, he had always pursued the pinnacle of his spear techniques. During this battle, with over 100 transcendent refiner life forms, he finally decided to find another profound mystery and fuse it into his spear techniques. This would allow his spear techniques to become even more perfect. I'll risk it all. Furthermore, the pinnacle is the end of everything, and also the beginning of everything. Dongbua Shui Ying's eyes shone with a frightening light. All profound mysteries of the myriad existences can be combined into a single point of extremity. Water, fire, and wind, these three profound mysteries can be combined into extreme piercing. Since all profound mysteries can be combined into an extreme piercing, I can add another profound mystery. As long as I can coordinate it well, it should not destroy the true meaning of extreme piercing. Dongbua Shuang thought, but I have to be careful as to which one to add. There were countless profound mysteries in the world. He had to find a most suitable one. Actually, the higher one's realm was, the harder it would be to fuse a new profound mystery. When one's realm was low, one would feel that his spear techniques were too fierce and lacked softness. The true meaning of water and fire was grade 4. When one felt that it lacked spirituality, one would naturally find the profound mystery of wind. The true meaning of extreme piercing was grade 2. Fuse another profound mystery? The closer one was to the peak, the harder it would be to advance any further. Such matters could not be rushed. One could only search for that kind of opportunity while comprehending his spear techniques during battles and while observing the world. Boom, boom, boom. 100 transcendent refiner life forms continuously attacked Dongbua Shuang. They could make mistakes because there were too many of them. However, Dongbua Shuang could not afford to make any mistakes. The moment he made a mistake, he would be struck by the weapons. If that happened, he would be heavily injured and defeated. Dongbua Shuang treated this as an opportunity to improve his spear techniques. This battle lasted for close to an hour. After such a long battle, he would eventually make a mistake. Pong! Amidst the encirclement of many weapons, a long rod successfully struck Shui Ying's chest. A powerful penetrating force penetrated through his clothes and inner armor before penetrating his body. Even though his body could withstand it, he still could not help but fly backwards. Still a little more. It is still too difficult for me to block the attacks of a group of transcendents. Time to end this. The instant Dongbua Shuang was sent flying. Shua! He vanished into thin air. Subsequently, over 20 meters away, the black-robed Dongbua Shuang reappeared. Amen? All the transcendent refiner life forms looked around in astonishment. Very quickly, they found Dongbua Shuang, who was over 20 meters away. They were all in disbelief. How'd he dodge it? He teleported in the middle of a battle. These transcendent refiner life forms didn't dare to believe it. An intense battle would produce ripples in space. Under such unstable ripples, it was extremely difficult to teleport. Dongbua Shuang didn't say anything. He wasn't teleporting. Instead, he was using the embryonic true meaning of extreme piercing to pierce through everything. Naturally, he could also pierce through space. Extreme piercing wasn't limited to spear techniques. He could use his fingers, his fists, and his body to execute the profound mysteries of extreme piercing. However, even though extreme piercing could pierce through space during a battle, it had a weakness: distance. It wasn't teleportation or spatial travel. It was merely piercing through space. At the very least, Dongbua Shuang felt that he could only pierce through a distance of about 100 meters. Chapter 167. Was Shui Ying's body moved. Once again, he disappeared and reappeared behind one of the transcendent refiner life forms. The silver spear pierced through the body of that refiner life form. The surface of its body could not withstand the attack. Shua, retracting his spear, he disappeared and reappeared beside another refiner life form, thrusting his spear once more. One-on-one. Even though the true meaning of extreme piercing was difficult to deal with when surrounded, it allowed him to maintain a one-on-one situation. Naturally, he could defeat these refiner life forms in a single move. As soon as their bodies were pierced, the crimson glow in their eyes dimmed, and they once again became motionless statues. This was the rules set by the elders of the Xia people for these refiner life forms. The moment they were pierced through, it meant that they had been defeated, and they would stop fighting. Thus, to win the 100 Battles Chamber, not only did one have to withstand the attacks, one had to break through the surface of the refiner life forms' bodies. Clearly, this was a high test for many aspects of combat. Most peak sky realm transcendents would need to grasp a complete grade 6 true meaning before they could break through their defenses. The difficulty was unimaginable. Break, break, break. One could see Was Shui Ying's figure appearing time and time again. The refiner life forms had no way of surrounding him and were defeated time after time, turning into statues. We've lost. It seems that we're going to lose. This human transcendent is too powerful. Not only are his attacks powerful, but he can also teleport during battle. These extraordinary alchemy life forms lost their will to fight. In the end, they were all defeated and turned into motionless statues. 100 Battles Chamber. He had won. Was Shui Ying grinned. In fact, he had understood after exchanging blows. To win, he had to first deal with the encirclement and then break through their defenses. If he used his true meaning of extreme piercing, he would easily win. Thus, he was not in a rush to do so. Instead, he used all his spear techniques in hopes of perfecting them. Fortunately, I've comprehended it for more than a year. Was Shui Ying rejoiced inwardly. Back when he had completed the Mountain Road mission and grasped the embryonic form of the true meaning of extreme piercing, he had only used his spear to stab or his finger to stab. He had used the stab technique to execute the extreme piercing. Back then, he couldn't use extreme piercing to smash, hack, sweep, and so on. Not to mention using his body to cast it. If he had entered the 100 Battles Chamber at that time, he would have been defeated. Over the past year or so, as his experience deepened, his mastery of it became more and more perfect. Everything could be turned into an extreme point that could penetrate everything. Weapons could transform into extremities, and so could the body. Flowers and leaves could be plucked. A mere embryonic form of a grade 2 true meaning was already so terrifying. Ha, good, good, beautiful. A loud laughter suddenly resounded in the 100 Battles Chamber. Was Shui Ying turned around and saw a black-haired old man standing there with a smile on his face. Greetings, Palace Lord, Was Shui Ying said. The person in front of him was none other than Palace Lord Chun. Actually, the moment Was Shui Ying entered the 100 Battles Chamber, the infernal palace treasure spirit had immediately informed its master. Thus, Palace Lord Chun had been quietly observing the battle. Clearly, the battle scene had made him very happy. This grade 2 true meaning is indeed powerful. The embryonic form is already so amazing, able to easily penetrate through space during battle. The black-haired old man praised. In the future, when you grasp the complete true meaning, I don't even dare to think about it. Back then, Eternal Wind only grasped the grade 3 true meaning of void cleavage. Yet he was already comparable to a demigod and had even defeated demigod Feng Dong. The moment you grasp it, your combat power will definitely increase. Cultivate properly and grasp the complete true meaning as soon as possible. When that time comes, it won't be a problem for you to reveal it to the world. For now, you still have to keep a low profile. Since you've successfully passed the 100 Battles Chamber, 100,000 contribution points will be given to you. However, this news must be kept a secret for now. I understand, Donghua Shuang said. Even though he was very strong now, in front of those world-destroying demigods, he was still too weak. He still had to rely on the two protective treasures given to him by the Xia people to protect his life. Before he grasped the complete true meaning, he would be relatively weak. As such, he had to be more careful. Demons can also be considered a form of training for you. Palace Lord Chen laughed. Go and fight hard. Your improvement will be even faster in battle. Try to grasp the complete grade 2 true meaning as soon as possible. I can't wait to see that day come. After returning from the 100 Battles Chamber, Ying was still as quiet as before. After returning to his mansion, he accompanied his family to have breakfast. The whole family was together. Donghua Ying's mood was extremely good. 100,000 contribution points would greatly increase his own strength and the strength of Snorrock Castle. Master, Mage Jing Xiao is here. A maidservant came to report. Mo Yang, you said, let Mage Jing Xiao come over to have breakfast with us. Eat together? Donghua Ying was startled. As a transcendent, why would he need to eat breakfast? The main reason he ate with his family was to enjoy the feeling of being part of a family. In any case, she's not an outsider. Mo Yang, you smiled. Yes, she's not an outsider. Donghua Lai also laughed. In this year of living in the Xia capital, they had seen Donghua Ying and Jing Xiao frequently going out together. They could feel the closeness between the two. Mo Yang and her husband even faintly treated Jing Xiao as their daughter-in-law. Even though Jing Xiao was older than Donghua Ying by 3 years, they were still very satisfied with her. The lifespan of transcendence was ridiculously long. A mere 3 years of age difference was already something to rejoice about. Furthermore, they were from the same county and had mutual feelings for each other. How good was this? Very soon, Jing Xiao arrived. Mage Jing Xiao, please take a seat. Mo Yang politely said. Even though she treated Jing Xiao as her daughter-in-law, she was still a transcendent mage. Greetings, Marquis, Madam. Jing Xiao greeted politely as she sat beside Donghua Ying. She glanced at Donghua Ying and secretly transmitted a message. How was it? Did you succeed? Yes, I succeeded. Donghua Ying replied. However, this news must be kept a secret. Don't spread it out. I'm only telling you this. A sky realm transcendent before the age of 61, the 100 Battles Chamber. How could it be so quiet? You even had breakfast with your family after returning from the battle. Jing Xiao transmitted a message with a smile on her face. Evidently, Donghua Ying said that she was the only one he told. Jing Xiao's heart was filled with sweetness. Donghua Ying suddenly spoke. Tonight, I plan to go into seclusion. I might be delayed for a day or two. Seclusion? Everyone looked at him curiously. Yes, I will be leaving the Xia capital in a month's time. At that time, I might have to face the threat of the demons. I have to break through to the Saint Realm before that. Donghua Ying explained. Once he broke through to the Saint Realm, there was no way to hide it. The aura he emitted would be completely different. Donghua Ying had never thought of hiding it from his family. Saint Realm Transcendent? Qing sure exclaimed. Wow, brother, how long have you been cultivating? You're already a Saint Realm Transcendent. That's amazing. Senior brother Snow Eagle should be the youngest Saint Realm Transcendent in the past 1,000 years. Jing Xiao added. Other than Donghua Ying and Jing Xiao, there were also his parents, Uncle Tong's family, Uncle Zong, and 2 couples. His brother's girlfriend was called Daya. She was also an influential figure in the Eternal Wind Academy. She and her sister Dai Lu were both beautiful and had already stepped into the Meteor Realm. Meteor-level, beautiful female mages, and twin sisters at that. This was a rare sight in the Eternal Wind Academy. The other couple was Dai Lu and her boyfriend, Kong Yuanfeng. Donghua and Qin Shi had a transcendent brother who was also a Silver Moon mage. Kong Yuanfeng, who was able to pursue his sister, Dai Lu, was also a prodigy of the heavens. He was the disciple of the transcendent wizard, Zi Che Gu Feng, and was now a Silver Moon wizard. His most dazzling achievement was his high attainments in the study of the flesh and soul. Si Liang Hong, the ancestor of the Si family, who was also researching in this area, had even publicly announced that Kong Yuanfeng had surpassed her in the study of the flesh and soul. Too amazing. Dai Lu, Dai Ya, and Kong Yuanfeng were all shocked. They were geniuses in the Eternal Wind Academy. But in the Xia capital, there were many legend-ranked knights and mages. In the mansion they lived in, Dongbua Shui Ying, Jing Xiu, and their junior brother Yuan Qing. Which one of them did not make them look up to? Yuan Qing was younger than them, but he had already stepped into the transcendent realm. Dongbua Shui Ying was even more astonishing. He was previously recognized as the peak of the sky realm transcendence in the Xia capital. He had the strength of a saint realm transcendent. Now, he had already stepped into the saint realm at such a young age. He might even become a demigod in the future. Worship, respect. This was how Qing Shi, Dai Lu, Dai Ya, and Kong Yuanfeng felt at this moment. That night, Dongbua Shui Ying entered the meditation room. The fire crystal lamp was lit. In the spacious meditation room, only Dongbua Shui Ying sat cross-legged. In his hand was a dawn stone that weighed more than half a kilogram. At the same time, his mind was immersed in his Dantian's Qi Si. With a thought, the transcendent Do Qi that had long been nurtured to its peak, which had been suppressed all this time, easily underwent a transformation and began to step into a higher realm. Asterisk that you're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.